Okay, so what are we talking about today, guys? So over like the last, I'd say 3-4 years, when I began to just, I guess, like change my life entirely, one of the biggest things that I realized was that internal change was the one thing that was actually pushing me forward in all domains of life. And it wasn't me actually just chasing anything. It was me changing like who I fundamentally was at bottom. And it was funny, like I was doing a dropshipping course. This was like 3-4 years ago when dropshipping was the thing. Okay, it's recording now. Yeah, and this was like when I went through my derealization. I just realized like there was a lot more than we had been told in society. You know, like we were told like you go to school, you get your job, you retire around 60 years old, and then hopefully you'll have enough money to enjoy the last 20, 30 years of your life if you even live that long. Because the years before that, you're just paying off your debt, especially now. I mean, it's pretty fucked. And so during this period of derealization, I mean, my entire world began to collapse, and not only like my experience of reality, but also the constructs that I had built as well. And so I was like, fuck it, like I want to do something. So I started doing drop shipping, and there was this guy, Jordan Bown, who I'm still very fond of now, and in his intro course, that was the first time I had been exposed to the idea of like what the inner world is, what the outer world is, what is a self-fulfilling prophecy, what is a subconscious mind. And that's when everything began to change for me, and I really, really got deep into this stuff probably like 3-4 years ago. And then, I don't know if you guys know, but during this period, I was doing my bachelor's in biomedical sciences, and I eventually got bored of it I wasn't bored of it, but I was like, I don't want to be a doctor anymore. Like, I want to do something else. I want to do something that really taps into my authentic self. And I do love medicine, and I'll always have a love for medicine. As you guys can tell, like, I love talking about like the circadian rhythm and biology and stuff like that. But I wanted to like do something more on the side of psychology and neuroscience, then eventually philosophy, after I realized like the true nature of what my derealization was. And so I switched into neuropsychology, and I wanted to pursue that in school. And then that was my major. And then I decided, I was like, I want to do something more, and that was philosophy. And now I'm doing a dual major in philosophy and neuropsychology. And so during these 3 years, starting with Jordan, I've been like continuously, I guess, unpacking these notions of like what the subconscious mind is and how these things are very real. And I used to think like these things were just woo-woo fucking like bullshit things, like, oh, subconscious, like, oh, self-fulfilling prophecy, like, oh, like you live on this frequency. And eventually I realized like these are very, very real things. And they are real not only just like from like a spiritual side, but like I come from empirical sciences, guys, and I don't like to make metaphysical claims, and I still don't. But I realize that these things, like the subconscious mind, are real even from an empirical science lens. Okay, so we're going to be talking about like the subconscious and your inner world, and how changing these things on a fundamental level will change your entire life, like literally your entire life. And so I just want to go over, I guess, the things that I've kind of learned. It won't be everything, but this will be a good chunk of it. And again, like in my WAP community, we'll be having more talks like this. So I just want to start with like a foundational statistic that I like to talk about a lot, which is that 80% of people who lose weight gain it back, okay? And then 2% of people who are obese and get under obese, the threshold, will actually stay under the obese threshold. So in other words, if you are obese, you have a 98% chance of actually being obese for the rest of your life. If you lose weight, just in general, you do a diet, 80% of people will gain back that weight, okay? And the reason why, and that I'll get into, is that, I mean, these things highlight a fatal flaw in the way that transformation is sold to us in general, okay? Like as a purely external pursuit. But the truth is, if your transformation is rooted in internal rewiring, it isn't rooted in your internal rewiring, you will relapse, okay? And because it does not matter how much effort you apply externally, you will always default to your inner world. And this is something that I'm going to get into a lot, is like, what is the inner world, okay? And if your inner world hasn't changed, your external world, your outer world, okay, will always regress back to that mean, whatever your inner world is, okay? So, yeah, it says here that like transformation is it's an identity shift. It is not about like these external things like a diet or like hustling or a certain goal that you have. It's when your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors start flowing from a new core, and it rests on 3 pillars, okay? And so we're gonna be talking about one of these pillars in depth, I guess 2 of them. The 1 and 3 are the ones that we're gonna go in depth for. 2 is also just as important, but that's for another time. Number 1 is your identity and your internal landscape or your inner world. And 3 is making the subconscious conscious. 2, which is the integration of knowledge into motion, which is called praxis, which is a word that I just love. It's almost like when you learn something and you don't do anything with it, there's no praxis. But when you learn something and you begin to do something with it to change your life, that is praxis. You know, praxis means theory into motion. I'm pretty sure it came from like during the Stoic times. I'm pretty sure it's from Stoic philosophy. But regardless, without these things, change is just cosmetic. Okay, like. And with them, your change will become inevitable and it will become lasting. So, the inner world. This is probably the most life-changing thing that I've ever come across, this thing right here. And so it is composed of 4 things, okay? The most important, so this by the way, this graph should be reversed. But the foundation of it is the identity, okay? So imagine identity was here. Identity is the foundation of it, and then over identity is your beliefs, and then on beliefs and identity is your emotions, and then just the tip of the iceberg is the actions, okay? Most people think that action is the thing that causes change. And it's actually, action is just a manifest symptom of what is going on beneath. When you see somebody do something, whatever it may be, when you see someone achieve something, and you say it's because of their actions, it's not because of their actions, it's because their actions are just a byproduct of something that's going on within their inner world, okay? And so when people start with just trying to address the actions, right, like purely the physical, and they wonder why nothing sticks, is because when you haven't actually done anything to your internal, you haven't changed your inner world, okay? I'm gonna use this word inner world a lot, which is, and a thing to understand here is that your inner world and your outer world will always meet, okay? So whatever your inner world is, whatever frequency, okay? When I say frequency, guys, don't be like, yo, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Like, no. Just, I'm not making any like sort of metaphysical claim like about like you're like on this wavelength that actually exists. Just take the word frequency for what it is. When your inner world is at a certain frequency, okay, the frequency of your outer world, right, will always match it. And this is just something that you cannot escape. And your outer world is what you actually experience. It's what you have right now. Your outer world is like, are you fat? Are you not fat? Are you rich? Are you not rich? That is your outer world. Your inner world is completely internal. It's everything that is going on, hence the name inner world, okay? And so usually, people essentially try to change their outer world without changing their inner world, and they'll see that like they always regress back to what their inner world is, which is your identity, beliefs, emotions, and actions, okay? And so identity is the foundation. What is identity? Okay, so a good way to just find what identity is like ask yourself, who am I? Identity is the beliefs about yourself. That's what it is. It's the beliefs that you have about yourself. And so what's important to note is that when you describe who you are, you think that you're making descriptive statements, okay? In the sense that you're describing some sort of object, like I am disciplined, I am chaotic, I am unworthy, I'm a bodybuilder, I'm fat, I'm skinny, I'm rich, I'm not rich, I'm poor, like I'm depressed, I'm anxious. These, when I ask you, like think of right now, just like a few statements that you would make about yourself, right? You think that you're describing something. But what you're doing when you make these statements is that you're actually predicting things in the future by saying these things. And I will get into why this is a very true thing. But your subconscious is reading these things as coordinates, okay? And it organizes your behavior according to the coordinates that you set. So this is why you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And so Jim Rohn, like that, you guys, I'm sure you guys know who Jim Rohn is. Like if he was I wish I could just describe his face, but like, I know some people in here know Jim Rohn, but you guys have definitely seen him on your Instagram reels. I don't know if he's dead now, but he would have these lectures and I just love to watch his lectures. And one of the things that stuck with me that he said was that if you were to split up the money that exists around the world into the pockets of everyone evenly, okay? So you were to take all the money of the world, put it in everyone's pocket in even amounts, it would end up in the pockets of the same people after a certain amount of time. Like the money would just go back to the same pockets. And it just and this is a very true thing. And the reason why is because these people are attracting money based off of who they are. You know, you will see, and a really good example of this is that there was this one guy who did a challenge. He used to be a millionaire, and he just wanted to show everyone that he could still be a millionaire, even if he started from zero. He literally went homeless, okay? And he's like made like a documentary, like day one of becoming a millionaire from being homeless. I think within 100 days or 200 days, he had become a millionaire again. And it shows that being a millionaire is not just something that you get. It is literally something that it is an identity that you hold, like I am a millionaire. And based off that identity, your beliefs, emotions, and actions that come from that identity will make you a millionaire. And that's what you see in life in general, okay? And we'll get deeper into this. So one of my favorite quotes from the Pygmalion, which is this book about like Hermetic philosophy, and I think it's actually tattooed on my arm. I think it's law 3, but it says, as above, so below, as below, so above, as within, so without, as without, so within. And so the phrase as within, so without is a very, it resonated with me very much after learning much of what I learned through like Jordan Bound and just through all of this stuff, which is that the world is not reflecting what is true. It's reflecting what is yours, okay? Your body, your bank account, your relationships, and mood are not accidents. They are echoes of your internal state. You will never permanently escape your life conditions without first shifting the internal frequency that created them. And this is why, guys, like when two people will go and enter the same economy, okay? Like the exact same economy, they will see the exact same numbers in whatever economy they're in, and they will see two entirely different things. One person will see opportunity, and the other person will be like, holy, like I'm fucked, you know? And the crazy thing is like nothing is actually different in the external world. Like the external world is identical between the two parties. The only difference is just the internal state of these people and their outer world just being a projection of their inner world, okay? Yeah, and so back to this inner world, outer world thing. So how your inner world and outer world regress to the mean, right? You have a mean, whatever your inner world is, and your outer world will always match it. If your inner world rises, your outer world will match that inner world. If your inner world drops, your outer world will match that drop. And so if your inner world, right, like your identity, which is the basis, says that like, if you truly believe, right, and this is the foundational layer of the inner world. Remember, identity, beliefs, emotions, and actions. If you truly believe that you are wealthy, and let's say you're not in the outer world, right? Like you're actually poor, you don't have any money, physical money in your wallet, but you will see that these people, right, and you know these people who like you always knew were going to be successful, or you hear these stories about people who like everyone knew they were going to be successful while they were poor, and then they became successful. The reason why was because like these people believed that they were successful before they actually had tangible success in the physical world. And like Hormozi is a perfect example of that. Like and I love Hormozi's story where like this guy would sleep in his fucking gym, okay? He had a bed in his gym in the corner, and like he would have to listen to the train tracks that would go over the gym, the train that would go over the gym on the train tracks, and they would make like da-duj sound. Like, and during that period, Hormozi just knew that he was going to make it. Like he knew, and his inner world was so high, and his fundamental identity was constructed on the foundation of I am a millionaire, I am successful, and by holding those beliefs about himself, his beliefs changed about the world, his emotions changed and how he felt about those beliefs, and then his actions changed. And his actions were simply the things that he was doing on a day-to-day basis. And eventually his outer world matched his inner world. This guy is like a 8-figure fucking business owner, whatever he is. And this goes for everyone that you know. And like you just know certain people are going to be successful because their inner worlds are so high and you can feel it. And the only thing that separates your outer world and your inner world, okay, the only thing that's separating it is time. That's it. Not effort, it's not luck, it's not more credentials. If you can hold the frequency of your higher identity for long enough, your outer world will sync to it. But most people lower their frequency before the shift materializes. They kill the result before it arrives. And so you'll see like people will have these like temporary inner world shifts where they get super motivated and they start taking action and they start seeing results. And then like suddenly they just stop. And their inner world, again, they let the frequency of their inner world drop again. And they haven't given reality enough time, physical reality, they haven't given their outer world enough time to match that inner world frequency. And I'm telling you guys, as soon as you raise your inner world to a certain frequency, your outer world will match it. And just a very pragmatic example of this is me when I was fat, okay? 5 years ago, I was fat and I hated myself and I was insecure. And when I was going to the gym, all I could think about was like who I was gonna be in 5 years, in like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I could only just envision like David Lade and all these guys and how I was gonna be like better than them and that's all I thought. And I genuinely believed that I was this person. I acted like I was that person. And I was still humble on the outside, but internally I was like, I'm gonna it's full delusion, guys, where like you truly believe that you're gonna achieve something. When I was in the gym, it's actually pretty crazy. Like when I was 16, okay, I benched 3 plates and I was like, I'm gonna fucking break the Francis world record. The St. Francis world record. St. Francis was my high school. And like on the surface, like there was like no way that I was gonna do this. And I think the record was like 355, but I completely convinced myself that I was going to do it. And again, so like my identity on the inner world sort of things, now like take this from what was happening to the inner world, I had now created the identity that I am the high school bench press record holder, okay? That's what I had in my head a year before it happened. And so what happened was like my beliefs changed about the world and what could happen. And then my emotions changed about how I felt, and we'll get into beliefs and emotions after soon. And then my actions change as a result. Again, actions are just the final result that you see. That's it. And like the actions are nowhere near as important. And again, like people are gonna, people might have the rebuttal like, oh, well, like actions are like the only thing that like cause real change. Like yes, they are, but they are just a symptom of something that's going on deeper. And the reason why people regress when they achieve something like weight loss or obese people like going under the obese threshold, the reason why they regress is because like their actions, sure, like their actions were sufficient to get them to that state, but they were not sufficient to hold them in that state because their identity had not changed, their beliefs didn't change. And so their inner world, right, like the fat person who still believes they're fat, even though they lost some weight, regresses back to being fat, okay? And again, it's just time separating these things. And so anyways, back to this like story of just my bench. So my actions changed. I like started benching like in a consistent amount. I started obsessing over like optimal bench techniques. I started obsessing over everything. And those actions, again, guys, you need to like drill this into your head. The only reason why I was doing those things was because my identity was now different than it had been, okay? Before, I didn't believe that I was capable of doing stuff like this. And then I really started believing it, and my actions changed, and then I attracted those results. And eventually I broke the record. I benched 365 when I was in like grade 12. I was 17 years old. And I benched 390 when I was 17. Like I was just going crazy. But again, it's because I held that inner world for long enough. And so like a good example of this is like 2 people will lose weight, okay? One person will lose weight and they'll say, I'm losing weight because I'm fat. The other person will lose weight, but they're saying, they say, I'm going to lose weight because I am healthy. What ends up happening? They both lose, let's say they both lose the same amount of weight, but they both lose 20 pounds, okay? The person who says, I'm losing weight because I am healthy, right, and actually believes they are healthy when they start losing weight, they might not actually be healthy yet. They might still have like a massive gut and like shit fucking blood work, but they believe they're healthy and they're losing weight because I am a healthy person. That person stays at that threshold, like that person is part of the 20% that doesn't regress. That other person who says, I am losing weight because I am fat, and this is something that I would do, guys. I was victim to this mindset. It's like, I would lose weight because I hated myself. And I guess my inner world was like, I'm going to lose weight because I hate myself. And that's why I had like bulimic tendencies, and that's why I would regress. I would lose weight. I would look sick for like 1 or 2 months, and then I would just crash out. Like I would regress back to like hating myself. And like what you guys see like during those 3 years are like when I looked really sick, but like nobody sees like how depressed I was and how anxious I was during this period because my identity was not, my inner world was not on the same frequency as the result I had achieved. Yes, so what happened was my outer world, right, was higher than my inner world. I had achieved that state of looking really sick, but my inner world was still here. And again, what happens is your outer world will just regress back to whatever your inner world is. And so what you need to do is you need to raise your inner world and hold it at a certain point, and your outer world will match that inner world. And I'll be teaching you guys exactly how to do this, but I just want you guys to understand the fundamentals here. And there's a really cool paradox, guys. It's called the lottery paradox. And when I figured out about this, I was like, damn, like this is such a salient example of how this manifests in real life. So 70% of lottery winners, 70% of people who win the lottery lose it. 70%, and what's even more alarming is they regress all the way back to where they started. That's the important part, and it's so interesting, guys. If you look at lottery stories, like people wish they win the lottery, within it's within a few years, like they just lose all the money. And why? It's because money magnified a mismatch. So what happened so I'll just get into this. The outer world upgraded without the inner world evolving. And what happens when your life outpaces your identity, you destroy the life to match the identity. And so what happened here, guys, was you had a crazy mismatch in outer world, inner world. And so like there's 2 stories that I'll tell you guys about with lotteries that I read about. One guy lived in a trailer park. He was homeless. And he won the lottery. I think it was like 6 million or something. And I think it was so quick how fast he got back into the trailer park, the exact same trailer park, like a few years later. And this is a lottery winner, guys. He had $6 million. Another guy worked a 9 to 5, I think his bank account had about like $130,000 in it. A few years later, guess how much his bank account had after he had won like a $8 million lottery? $130,000 fucking dollars. Like how crazy is that, guys? And it's literally because your outer world, you have this massive mismatch where your outer world is now way higher than your inner world, okay? Like you have all this money, but your inner world is not on the same frequency as that. And again, what was the inner world of these people? Well, the poor person probably had the inner world of I am poor, I am unhealthy, money is hard to find, wealth does not flow to me. You know, all of these fundamental identity constructs that they have built their inner world on. That was what that person had. The 9 to 5 worker probably had an identity like, I work a 9 to 5. I have the income of a 9 to 5 person. You know, like obviously they have these things, but these are things that we actually believe about ourselves that we don't really realize. You know, like when you ask yourself who you are and you ask the 9 to 5 guy what his identity was, again, it was found on things like, yeah, like I work 9 to 5, I have the income of a 9 to 5, I get my weekends off because those are my off days that I deserve. That's what his identity and his beliefs are, right? And so again, that's what his inner world was at. He got a massive outer world boost. Both of them got the massive outer world change. And what you see is your outer world will just regress back to your inner world. And this is why people who you know are going to be successful and they end up being successful is because you can feel their inner world is just so high, and it's only a matter of time until their outer world matches that inner world, okay? And again, there's actually a really good example that's coming here. Okay, and so belief is your mind's anchor, okay? So your mind does not care about what is true. It doesn't give a fuck about what is true. It cares about what is familiar, and it will fight to preserve your current belief system, even if it is destroying you, okay? Beliefs create self-fulfilling prophecies. So if you believe money is hard to earn, your mind will seek out proof to validate that belief, specifically your subconscious mind, guys, and I will explain this. And beliefs filter your experiences. So if you believe you're unlovable, you'll unconsciously reject love, not because it's not there, but because it violates your inner blueprint, your identity, and the goal of your subconscious mind is to just hold whatever beliefs you have as true, to confirm those beliefs. And and it acts as a filter for reality. So your brain is bombarded with millions of bits of info per second. And this is just like from neuroscience, I'm telling you guys as a fact, you are bombarded with millions of bits of info. And your brain can, I think, only process like 40 to 60 bits per second, okay? Like a sliver of it. The rest is just filtered out. So you guys are not actually seeing reality. Like you're just seeing a sliver of reality, and that sliver is put through the filter, like all that data is put through a filter, which is your subconscious mind, and it decides what reaches your awareness. And what's really cool is we found this part of the brain called the reticular activating system, the RAS, and it's a bundle of nerve fibers at the base of your brain. And you'll see that it acts as this filter, and it decides what enters your conscious awareness. So your conscious awareness is what you are consciously aware of, right? Like I have like a monster can in my hand. I am consciously aware of this monster can. I have a thought of a waffle, okay? I'm consciously aware of the thought of a waffle. That is an object of perception. You are consciously aware of objects. Your thoughts can be an object of perception. Your subconscious mind you are not aware of, okay? Your subconscious mind, things come from your subconscious mind, but you are never actually directly aware of what is going on in your subconscious. But you can actually change how your subconscious is wired, and the operating system that it functions on, and that's what we will talk about. So, yeah, and what's really interesting is by changing our beliefs about the world and changing our beliefs about ourselves, we are actually changing the code of the reticular activating system, okay? And it is trained by what you believe. And if you change your beliefs, you change what reality is allowed to show you. And so I want to see if I forget if I included this. Yeah, okay, so there's a really good example of this, okay? So my ex drove a Ford Escape, okay? And I always think there are so many Ford Escapes on the road. It's just so weird. Like I'm like, holy fuck, like I've seen so many Ford Escapes today. But in reality, like there aren't that many more Ford Escapes on the road. My reticular activating system, my subconscious mind, is filtering out essentially all the other cars that it says this doesn't matter. Like we don't really give a fuck about this, and it's crazy because like I don't notice it. I just notice like holy shit, like there's another fucking like Ford Escape. Or like you'll buy a new car, or you will buy new shoes, and people like wonder like, man, like after I bought my new car, like I swear there's just so many on the road now. Or like after people buy new shoes, they'll be like, oh my god, like I just see these my shoes everywhere, like on everyone. And it's not because there's actually the external reality hasn't changed at all. You know, your external reality hasn't changed. What has actually changed is your subconscious filtering, and you'll actually just begin to see more of those things despite nothing actually changing in the external world. And it's fucking crazy how this actually applies to success and to changing like your reality in general. Once you start believing I am wealthy, I am fit, let's say like a person believes I am healthy, okay? That person who's losing weight. They will subconsciously filter out unhealthy food choices from a menu, like literally, and this has been shown, where like they'll look at a menu and they'll like actually just skip over like the burgers, you know, like subconsciously, and they'll be like, oh fuck, there was a burger there. Like it's just crazy how this shit works. Just by rewiring your identity and your beliefs about the world, you begin to filter the world differently, and the world that you experience literally changes. And so again, guys, like you're not actually experiencing the world for what it is and what it like reality really is. We don't really know what it looks like. You only know what you look like projected onto the screen of reality. Okay, like that's kind of how all of this is working. And again, so you are not observing objective reality. You are observing just a curated simulation based on your subconscious programming. That's why when you buy a new car, yeah, again, I did right here. You see it everywhere. You didn't actually change the world. You changed what your RAS believes is important. This is the same with abundance, same with opportunity, same with power. If your RAS isn't trained to see it, it doesn't exist for you. This is why wealthy people just like naturally notice, like hear it, like listen in on conversations about money. And it's not because like the conversation is louder than it used to be. Like they just notice that there is money, there is money being spoken about in their environment. Okay. And it's really cool because like you'll subconsciously filter out unimportant conversations without noticing, but another person will notice it because it has to do with something. And do you know like those memes that are like, when these two people are discussing like this topic that I'm disgustingly educated in. And like, it's just so true. Like you just immediately notice people talking about like these things that you know a lot about. That's not a coincidence. It's because your reticulating activating system is like, yo, this is important as fuck. And we need to listen in on this. This is your subconscious mind, guys, in action, okay? And again, you can change this stuff. I just want to make sure that nobody has. If you have questions, because I know this is like a lot of dense stuff, please just put them in the chat, okay? Because York are there any questions right now? No. Okay, cool. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. What's your question?
How do you create beliefs?
Okay, yeah, we'll get there. That's a good question, though. Okay, so emotions. Okay, so emotions are echoes of your identity and of your beliefs. Again, remember, the hierarchy goes identities, beliefs, emotions, and then actions. And so your emotions don't lie, they are data points, and they tell you what you really believe, right? Like when somebody asks you, or when you're told to envision your future, this is just a really powerful example that we'll talk about more, you'll immediately feel associated emotions, and you need to be very honest with yourself. Like when you envision yourself in the highest version of yourself, do you feel excitement or do you feel doubt and fear and almost hatred towards yourself for not being there? That is a very, very good indicator of what your identity actually looks like. And it was really interesting because when I used to ask myself, like, if somebody even were to ask me, like, are you going to be successful? And you were to ask me like 4 years ago before all of this stuff, I would have probably like froze and been like, yeah, like I think so. But I probably would have felt fear and doubt and some sort of like these negatively valenced emotions. And that's just so revealing to what my identity was. And if I ask you guys, are you guys going to be successful? Imagine I'm talking to you and I'm saying, are you going to be successful? Be consciously aware, guys, of what you feel when I say that. Like, are you actually going to be successful, or did you feel like doubt? Did you feel fear? Because if you felt fear and doubt, that's probably telling you that your identities and beliefs about the world are probably not on the frequency that you want them to be at. And when you ask somebody who really knows they're going to be successful, they'll be like excited when you ask them the question, you know, and that's when you know their inner world is really high, and that's when you know that their outer world will again regress to that mean and it will match it. And so if you feel doubt when you're visualizing your dream life, that's your nervous system saying, we don't think this is safe. And resistance reveals truth. If you feel resistance towards success, it's because your inner world hasn't made space for it. You need to learn to listen, not to moralize. Emotions are mirrors. They are not enemies. And that's very important, guys. You need to, like, people typically resist their emotions that they have when they feel these things, and they're like, fuck, like I feel like negative, like why do I feel? It's like, it's okay. Like it's just a mirror. Accept the emotion for what it is and realize that there's some deeper work that needs to be done, okay? And again, so actions are your weakest layer. Actions are the lagging indicator of identity. They're the last thing to change. They're just the physical thing, guys. It's just the manifest symptom of what's going on underneath. That's why relying on willpower is just a losing game. If your actions conflict with your subconscious identity, they will not last. And if they conflict with your inner world, guys, you don't need better habits. You need a new self-concept, and then the habits will follow. Okay, and that's why, again, like when a fat person who believes they're fat wants to lose weight, and they do these actions that will make them lose weight, right? They start drinking protein shakes and whatever, and they start doing a healthy diet. That's conflicting with their inner world, okay? And so, like, again, like their inner world is here, their outer world is creeping up, but again, like now there's this gap / resistance of like, yo, your outer world wants to go right fucking back down to whatever your inner world is. And again, guys, like I'm gonna keep saying this but I'm just gonna keep saying it. This is always true with anyone that you meet. Your outer world right now, whatever you are experiencing right now, however much money you have, whatever you look like, whatever your habits look like, whatever you do on a day-to-day basis, whatever you do with your free time, those are a representation of your inner world. And there's one exception, okay? And most of us aren't that exception, which is, if your inner world is already a lot higher than those things, then you might come up to those inner worlds. But at least now, the things that you're experiencing, whatever your money in your bank account is it's literally just a reflection of your inner world. And at least the inner world of your past, right? Like, and this quote that I really like was like, your past self is through a boomerang that your current self is being forced to catch. Your current self is now throwing a boomerang that your future self will be forced to catch. And so you get to choose how you're gonna throw that boomerang, and whether it's gonna be a fucking shit throw that you're gonna have to like run and try to get and miss possibly, or whether it's gonna be a dialed throw that's gonna come back right to you. And right now you are throwing that boomerang, and that boomerang is your inner world. And if you're throwing a really high inner world boomerang and you keep it there, you're gonna see your future self is just gonna rise to whatever that inner world was. It's gonna catch the boomerang, and you're gonna see your external reality will change. Right now, what you're experiencing is the boomerang that your past self has thrown, okay? There's nothing else. If you ever do want to change, guys, you need to accept the fact that, yeah, like your inner world was shit before. If you don't like how your life is right now, there's nobody else's fault besides yours, okay? And like, as long as you're blaming circumstances or other people, nothing will change. And it's the moment that you realize that you are the one who threw that boomerang. And again, like, we're all fucking adults here. We're not kids anymore. You're the one who's throwing the boomerang now, okay? And so you threw the boomerang in the past, and you're catching however it is now, and it might have been a really shitty throw in the past, but you get to decide how you throw it now and whether you're gonna catch it in the future at a higher inner world or not, okay? Or at a higher outer world, because again, your outer world will just match your inner world, okay? Okay, so regression to the mean, which is now I've talked about a lot. No matter how high you rise, if your inner world is set to a low mean, you will crash back down to that inner world. This is why most people snap back after progress. The new result conflicts with the old identity. It doesn't feel safe. It doesn't feel real. So the mind and nervous system pull the person back to their psychological baseline. And again, right when I lost weight, right, 3 years ago, and I didn't believe it didn't feel real. Like, I didn't feel like I deserved to be in a body, like the body that I had, you know? Like, I looked insane for an 18-year-old. Like, I looked fucking crazy. Like, I still post videos from when I was that age because of how insane I looked, but I didn't feel like I deserved that. And like, I don't show pictures. I mean, now I do, but I didn't used to show pictures of what I looked like. Like, 2 months after that, guys, I fucking looked awful, awful. Because like, I just regress back to what I actually believed about myself, which is that I'm a person who has eating disorders, who's never actually gonna be constantly fit, who doesn't have that much energy. And now my inner world is completely changed. I'm always lean now. My leanness varies obviously, but I'm always like at a certain body fat that I'm very happy with now. And it's because I truly believe that I'm a person who constantly maintains a healthy body. I fundamentally believe that I am a healthy person. My identity and beliefs about the world are actually different, okay? And so your identity, the mean that I'm talking about is your standards, okay? And your standards are just a reflection of your inner world. They're a perfect reflection of your inner world. And the mean and standard, guys, same word, okay? Like, you can use them interchangeably. And so your identity standard, your mean is the identity standard that you've unconsciously set. It defines what's acceptable in your life, not just morally, but energetically as well. Temporary success, so like an example of temporary success is like, if your mean says I'm a 9-to-5 worker and you win the lottery, you will subconsciously rebuild your life to return to that level, as I've explained in the past. Permanent change only occurs when your identity actually shifts, okay? Outcomes are just temporary, okay? Until the identity shifts, your outcomes are just temporary. Yeah, so standards as identity in motion. So if your standards are not the rules you follow, but they are reflections of who you believe you are. And this is actually really important, because if you look at your standards right now, and people are usually in denial about their standards, okay? So like, if you tolerate being disrespected, it's because part of you believes that that's actually what you deserve. If you consistently maintain high standards in your fitness, relationships, business, it's because your identity makes those standards inevitable. Raise your identity and your standards will rise as well. Because again, your standards are just a reflection of your identity, beliefs, emotions, and actions. That's what your standards are. And so if you're in a shitty relationship, it's because your inner world is founded on the construct that I can be in a shitty relationship and I don't deserve better. Like, and again, that might hurt to hear, but if you're poor or if you're fat, it's because your inner world is also saying like, yeah, like I'm fundamentally a person who is poor. And again, people are like, no, I'm not. Like I don't believe that about myself. It's like, yes, you do. I'm sorry, but you do. And you just are refusing to accept that part of yourself. And until you come face to face with that self, and as Carl Jung says, you must come face to face with the void and look back it directly in the eye. That's what he famously said. And we'll talk about Jungian theory, like shadow work and stuff, and how you can actually like look back into the void. And but yeah, your standards are just a reflection of your inner world. So when you see somebody who is in a really, really toxic relationship, it's not like that you need to like hate them or anything, but it's just unfortunate that their inner world is like, I used to be in a toxic relationship, and like my inner world was like told me that like I deserve to be in that, you know, like I never actually until my inner world changes, until your inner world changes, your outer world will just remain at whatever your inner world frequency is. And again, like people are just going to be in denial about this, and like they're going to be like, yeah, well, I'm skinny because I just have like, it's like my genetics, I'm just tired and whatever. It's like, no, it's because your inner world, it's like, it all comes down to your inner world, guys. It really does. Again, now we know that the identity is the foundation for everything. It is the foundation from which your actions come from. And you can make the actions so easy. It can be so easy to make actions that you once thought were hard once your inner world changes. Again, if I were to insert Usain Bolt's brain into my brain, and I were to swap mine and his, I would become an elite level sprinter. Maybe not Usain Bolt just because my genetics are different. Like I'm not black, and I don't have just I'm not as tall as him and shit. But I would become an elite sprinter. Why? Because my habits would actually change according. I would become Usain Bolt just in Amer's body, you know. So like I would become a pretty fucking damn sick sprinter, and because my habits. Again, my identity has changed. It's changed to Usain Bolt. My inner world is now Usain Bolt's inner world. So like the time that I wake up in the morning, the time that I go to train, whatever I eat in the day, whatever I believe about myself has changed, and now my actions have just changed as well. You know, like as a result of the inner world change. Do you guys understand that? It's the fact that your inner state has changed, and so the actions just become like a byproduct. It's not hard for Usain Bolt to go to his training. He wants to do that. Yeah, like there is discipline involved, but it's nowhere near as hard as like you for one of us to do what he has to do. Why? Because we don't have his inner world. But his inner world is so high, right? It's that of an Olympic level, fucking fastest man in the world. It's to that standard where like the actions are just a simple byproduct. It's not hard for him to fucking eat healthy. Like it's just, and it's not hard, for example, for somebody like me who believes they are healthy and who prioritizes their life around like being healthy, for example, it's not hard for me to like just say no to like going to McDonald's. It really isn't hard anymore. It used to be very hard when my inner world hadn't changed. But as soon as you believe I am a healthy person, you're like, even the thought of McDonald's, guys, I swear, like, I don't want to fucking like virtue signal, because like that's the last thing I care to do, but I don't like it. It's just gross. Like I don't care to eat fucking burgers. I just don't anymore. Like I used to. And like, yeah, like maybe like once in a while, like I'll enjoy a fucking burger. But like the point is that the thought of it now, if someone were to say like, yo, like I can't wait to get like 4 burgers in a row, like 4 days in a row, I'd probably like throw up at the thought of that. And if you were to ask me 4 years ago, bro, like I'd be fucking like blowing my load because I'd be so excited. But it's because my inner world has changed so drastically. But again, external reality has remained the same. Okay, oh, we got chats. Oh, it's just Bensei laughing. But it's true. It's true. Like it really is true, and it's because my inner world has changed so much. And like again, like I genuinely enjoy eating healthy, and people are like, "Damn, like you like eating healthy? Like, do you really like that?" But it's like, yes, because it makes me feel good, and because it aligns with my inner world, and it's not hard for me to like. I would much prefer to eat like just like a home cooked meal that I've made than fast food. And people are like, what? Like, dude, like fast food tastes so good. It's like, no, but like that's not, again, like there's so many things about it that like I just don't resonate with that and don't align with my inner world and my goals to the point where it's just very easy for me to just forget about, you know? And again, that's that inner world change that has occurred in my past, so that it's now easy for me to just stay at the body fat that I stay at year round, okay? Okay, yeah, this is a fucking sick thing, okay? So this is called the Pygmalion effect, okay? And so the Pygmalion effect was shown in this study, okay, where teachers were told certain students, randomly selected students, were bloomers, okay? They were bloomers. They were academic bloomers, like they were just like super high IQ, and so the teachers like, and that's all they told them. They didn't say like treat them differently. They didn't say anything. They just told the teachers these students are IQ anomalies, and they weren't. The students were like, they all had like similar IQs, And what happened was after a certain period of time of being in the classroom, and this was shown in the study, it's like Jacobson and somebody else, it was just with two guys. The students had higher IQ gains than the other students because of the external beliefs that were projected onto them, okay? And they outperformed their peers. They literally had higher IQ gains just because of the beliefs of the teachers. And so we actually rise to the beliefs of the beliefs that we're expected to rise to, okay? And this was because, and the reason why, and again, this wasn't because students were more capable, but because belief changed their behavior. And so the reason why this happened, guys, was because the teachers would subconsciously, they wouldn't consciously be doing this, they would subconsciously like challenge the students more, and they would like, they would smile at them more, and they would act warmer towards them without knowing it. The teachers didn't even know that they were doing this, but they were just told. And the students also let that belief infect them in a positive way, and they started to believe that they were smarter as well. And then they had higher IQ gains than the others. It's just crazy. Like, think about how crazy that is, guys. Like, just the expectations that are placed on you, even like expectations that you're not even aware of, can actually have significant changes on who you become, okay? And this is also why, guys, and I talk about this a lot, but like the people that you surround yourself with, be extremely, what's the word? Selective with who you surround yourself with, because the people that you surround yourself with are also believe things about you. They believe that you're going to be successful, or they might not believe that you're going to be successful. They hold higher expectations of you, or they don't. And those beliefs that they have change the way that they act towards you subconsciously, and you will also subconsciously absorb the way that they are acting towards you. And that will change your behavior, and it will change your identity, which will change your beliefs, which will change your emotions, which will change your actions, which will change your life. So literally, just from somebody else acting different towards you, believing different things about you, that will literally change your life, because your identity has changed because somebody else has actually changed your identity without you realizing it. And that's why it's always important to be around people who genuinely believe that you're going to be like great, and who are trying to push you in that direction, and who are excited when you speak about these things, because that is changing our identity. When you are around people, if you are expected to be a failure, and this is again the Pygmalion effect, but when you are expected to be a failure, you will actually have a much higher chance of failing, much higher chance. Whether you're expected to fail in a race, whether you're expected to fail on a test, if you're expected by other people to fail, whether it's your mom, dad, friends, whatever, you will have a much higher chance of failing. And that's why it's extremely important to be aware of the beliefs that other people have of us and of you, because they will change your identity. And again, they change your, this isn't metaphysics, guys. This isn't some fucking woo-woo shit. It's literally your identity, change your beliefs, change your emotions, which change your actions, which are actually the things that change your life. It's the actions that you take. That's it. That's literally it. Like that's what will make you a millionaire or not. That's what will make you not fat or not. It's just the actions that you take. But again, it's like, where are these actions coming from? And you can change where they are coming from based off of like literally something as simple as who you actually surround yourself with, okay? And the winner effect, I forget if I talk about it here. Yeah, so the winner effect is also like a similar effect where if you can actually, it's really important to stack your victories throughout the day and stack your wins throughout the day. And by stacking these wins and victories, you're also subconsciously telling yourself and subconsciously implanting the belief, and now we're getting into the zone of how to change your identity. Number one is like, notice all the wins that you make in the day. Is your room clean? Like just something as simple as that. Are you keeping your room clean? Did you eat healthy today? Did you do something productive today? Did you take a walk today? These small wins, if you stack these small wins, you are now creating a new identity, and that identity is, I am a winner, okay? And like, I can win at things. I can do great things. If you are doing something hard right now, if you're quitting a substance, if you're trying to diet and you are successful in doing that diet, every single day that you succeed in doing that, take a moment to be like, yo, like I did that. Like I'm a winner. Like I can actually do whatever, like I can do this stuff. I can do hard things. And those small wins that you're now observing are, I swear, guys, like people think, and I used to be one of these people where like I used to hear shit like this, and it makes me sad that I used to think like this and be like, okay, Amr, like really, like doing your fucking bed, or like you're keeping your, like noticing that your room is, it's like, yes, guys, like coming from somebody who has actually like succeeded when it comes to the stuff that I want to succeed in, this is the stuff that matters. And it is noticing these small wins and subconsciously implanting them into our identity in our inner world that cause real change. That's what will change your life. And so start noticing the small wins and the big wins, but notice all the wins, and that's what the winner effect is. And then your identity will now begin to change, okay? Like around that identity that you've created. Okay, self-fulfilling prophecies. This is a perfect, like this leads us into the self-fulfilling prophecy. So you have a belief, you act according to what you believe about yourself, okay? Which is AKA your identity. Your subconscious will filter out anything that challenges its narrative or that belief, as now we know. Now you have evidence for the beliefs that you have. So if you believe you're broken, you'll notice proof everywhere. If a physician tells you, by the way, bro, you're depressed, you're gonna start. It's crazy. Like just by, and this was also a study that was done. People were told they were depressed and they weren't depressed. It's kind of unethical, but like after like it's, anyways, I'm not going to get into the ethics of it. But people were told they were depressed. They weren't actually depressed, and many of these people ended up presenting with depressive behaviors and actually becoming depressed because they were told they were depressed. And this is very similar to the placebo effect, and we can get into the placebo effect in a second. But the point is with the depression is like, why did they actually become depressed? It's not because they were just simply told they were depressed. It's because they absorbed the belief about themselves, I am depressed. Now that had sunk into their identity, it had infected their identity, and then it had changed their beliefs about the world, their emotions, their actions. And so now they began to filter out conversations or filter out things that could be related to other things that they now decided were identity. For example, they're tired in the day. Okay, if you're tired in the day right now, if you were tired, and I told you it's because you're depressed, you'd probably look at me like I'm a fucking retard. Okay, like it's not because you're depressed unless you actually have depression. It's probably because like maybe you didn't eat well yesterday. Have you ate today? Have you like drank sufficient water? Did you work out yesterday and was it really hard? Did you get good sleep? Like it's probably something else. It's probably not depression. The person now who believes I am depressed, their reticulating activating system will filter out the other possibilities of like, it's because I'm tired or it's because I got bad sleep. And they'll be like, it's because I'm depressed. You know, they will confirm their belief. Again, your subconscious doesn't care about what's actually true. It doesn't care about what the true cause of your tiredness is. It cares about confirming its belief that you are now depressed. And so it will confirm the belief by saying, my tiredness is caused by depression. And so they will sink further into depression. Do you see how crazy that is? Or like somebody who believes they are charismatic. They will notice so many smiles that are given, that are, or let's say somebody who doesn't believe they're charismatic. Somebody who says, nah, I'm not a charismatic person. They will ignore every smile. They will ignore every like wave. They will ignore anyone paying attention to them. They will ignore anyone who listens to them. And they will just notice the one person who like looked away in the room, you know, who ignored them. And they'll be like, yeah, see, like I fucking knew it. I knew it. Like I was not charismatic. And it's like, bro, it's not true. It's like there were so many other people who were smiling at you and you were holding eye contact with, but the one time somebody notices it, your fucking toxic subconscious has filtered out all of those things and has noticed the one person who decided to treat you like you are not charismatic. And you just confirm that belief because again, your subconscious doesn't care about what's actually true. It just wants to confirm its own beliefs about yourself. So when you can actually become your own teacher in the way that the teachers were to the students, and you can believe things about yourself that are higher, you can raise your inner world, believe that you are wealthy, you'll begin to filter out everything that does not confirm that belief. If you believe you are healthy, you will begin to confirm, you'll begin to notice parts of yourself, like, yo, like I lost weight, like I actually am healthy, you know? You'll stop noticing the fat that is like gonna go anyways. You'll start noticing things that are actually confirming that belief. That's why identity is so, so important. And then yeah, you reprogram, you train your RAS and you feed it a new narrative, and your life will begin to update in real time, literally. Like your outer world will now just begin to like rise to your inner world. I'm gonna put this on here because I'm getting sweaty. I'm fucking yapping like a motherfucker. Okay. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. Okay. Okay, so there's this analogy that I made. I actually made this. Oh no, was this one that I got? No, I made the zoo analogy. The thermostat was not the one that I made. I'm gonna wipe this. Okay, so The thermostat analogy is I love it. It's so you can tune the thermostat of your inner world. Think of your inner world as like a thermostat, and you can tune it, okay, like a room. And so what you attract is what your internal thermostat is set to. If you raise the temperature temporarily, but you don't change the setting, the room cools back down. This is why willpower doesn't work. Long-term change happens when you reprogram your thermostat. So when you raise the thermostat to, let's say, like 40 degrees, okay, in a room, the room will eventually rise to whatever the thermostat is set at. But the thing is, again, the room is the outer world, and it just needs time. You just need to hold the thermostat there, just hold it at 40 degrees, and the room, sure enough, guys, will always rise to whatever the thermostat is set at. Set it higher and hold it long enough, and the outer world has no choice but to match. The room has no choice but to match the actual temperature that you've set it at. If you don't set it at, if you set it at 40 degrees and for one day you're on your shit, but then you're like, okay, like fuck this, like I am not seeing any differences in my outer world. It's like, bro, you haven't given the room enough time to heat up. Can you imagine somebody heating up the room to 40 degrees and 2 minutes later, it's like at like 24 degrees and they're like, fuck this thermostat's broken. And they just like turn it back down. You know, like you would look at them weird. And in the same way, you can't expect your outer world to change right away. You just need to just hold the thermostat, hold your inner world at a higher frequency, and your outer world will match whatever that frequency is, okay? And this is the one that I made, the zoo analogy. I was feeling creative while I was writing. But like, so imagine a room in a zoo with a thermostat, okay? You have this massive room, any animals can live in it, okay? At negative 40 degrees, there's penguins that are living in it, okay? But if you slowly raise the temperature to 30 degrees and hold it there, the penguins will eventually leave, and new plants, new fungus, new animals will begin to come as it heats up, okay? And like the old animals will die. And so what are the animals? The animals are your outer world and things that are happening in your outer world. Imagine like the animals as your friends. Imagine the fungus as your bank account. Imagine the plants as your physical health. As soon as you begin to raise the temperature of the room, the penguins will either die or they will leave the room, okay? The plants and the fungus, unfortunately, can't leave, so they're just gonna die. So your outer world, the things that you're now seeing in your outer world are beginning to change. But again, it's not immediate. Imagine this thermostat is it's a very huge room. It's a massive fucking room because it needs to hold all these animals. So it needs time to heat up. You need to hold it there. So I'll read this first. So like new animals, lions, giraffes start to show up. The room didn't chase the animals away. It just became incompatible with them. That's identity work. You shift the climate and the environment will update. And so what I was thinking about too was like how unfortunate it is that some people will raise the temperature of their room, but they won't hold it there. They'll raise their inner world. You'll see somebody who was super motivated and you saw they made some progress, but then it just stopped and they gave up. And the way that I imagine that is like let's say like the lions can talk. They're like, yo, we're on our way. Like, can you just hold it at 30 degrees? Like, just hold it at 30 degrees, and I promise, like, we're so excited to live in the room that you've created for us. But like, we just can't go there yet because it was negative 40 and it's like 0. And the lion is like, yo, like unfortunately, like the room isn't fucking hot enough yet. Like, I want to be there, but I can't. Just give us some time. We're like on our way. And then, like, don't be the guy that's like, yo, sorry, dude, like, the room didn't heat up quick enough. I'm just gonna let it go back to negative 40 and then just regress back to your old habits because your inner world has cooled down. Just hold that temperature high enough and the lions and giraffes and the new plants will show up, okay? Like, your outer world will change. Okay. So the lie that becomes truth, this is really important. So this is now how do you actually begin to do this? So every transformation starts with a lie, not because it's fake, but because the world hasn't actually caught up yet. So just by saying the statement, I am powerful, even if you feel weak, you declare, I am disciplined, even if you have no track record, so that might feel off initially, okay? And it's normal for it to feel off. But the thing is belief is formed through iteration and repetition, okay? The lie becomes belief and belief becomes embodiment, and the world will eventually respond. So, and the best way, again, so like a way that I've just found to do this is like even something as simple as affirmation journaling, which is, I'm not gonna talk about too much right now, but even in your head, guys, if you truly begin to believe, and I'll get into the things that actually like withhold these beliefs, like traumas and stuff, but as soon as you begin to believe you're that person and you start to act as that person, you really start to act as that person. You're not actually, it initially feels like you're lying to yourself, but again, you're not lying in some sort of like negative way. You're just you're just beginning to fit into a new suit that you haven't fit into yet. And it's still morphing, it's still adapting to your body. And by doing this constantly, you will begin to see that this lie that you were saying was it wasn't actually like, it was never a lie. It was just something that you were beginning to fit into. And eventually you'll see like this lie that you once said is now becoming a part of your identity. And then you're going to see that like the real world will respond slowly, and you'll be like, holy shit, like this is real. Like I actually am this person, but it just takes time. Okay. I'm just trying to find one note that yeah. And yeah, again, it's normal for it to feel like your system is rejecting the upgrade that you're trying to undergo. But if you just say it enough, if you live into it enough, your nervous system will literally begin to believe that you are now this person, and that's when your outer world will change. My camera stopped recording. Yeah, and you become the person that you once had pretended to be. And that's the really cool thing. It wasn't through luck, it was just through repetition. It was by repeating the actions of this person constantly over and over and over. And that's literally just what changed my life. It's like I literally just started like I just started taking cold showers because I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, high version of me would do this. And then eventually, like, I just never stopped, you know? And it's like, that just became like, and the reason why is like, I want to become resilient, you know, to stressors. And like the Stoics talk about how like you should deliberately engage in hard things, because hard things are going to come to us regardless of whether you want them to come. So you can kind of prepare for those things in ways of just deliberately exposing yourself to hard things, like taking a cold shower, or like, doing other hard things, because hard things are going to come either way, and it's like you get to kind of choose whether you're going to be prepared for them or not. And so, yeah, like I was like, yeah, like I'm resilient. I'm going to start taking cold showers. And eventually, like, I didn't believe I was resilient at first, but I really began to internalize this belief and began to repeat it in my head and began to write it down. And then suddenly, like, it just became so real. And I just didn't have an issue like taking cold showers, because my belief, my inner world had just changed. And it was really cool when, yeah, like through repetition, your actual identity can change. Okay, so now we're going to get into these really interesting paradigms that we'll speak about. So you've been told from the very beginning, guys, that you have to have the tools so that you can do the work, so that you can finally be the person. Have, do, be. But this mindset traps you in a loop. Okay, you wait, you hesitate, you never feel ready, you never have the thing. And your identity remains hostage to circumstance. You will never actually have enough until you become someone who expects more from life. That is why most people stay stuck forever. And for example, the entrepreneur who wants to be an entrepreneur, they're like, okay, like I need to have the money to do entrepreneurial things to become an entrepreneur. You've completely fucked the script. Like you're never gonna have the money if you don't become the entrepreneur first. You know, and people are like waiting on like, yeah, like I'll get out of whatever cycle I'm in once I have this thing which will allow me to do certain things, which will allow me to be the person that I want to be. It's like, you won't have, like, what makes you think you're gonna have those things? Can you imagine me saying right now, like, like I'll invest when I'm rich? it's like, bro, like you need to invest to be rich. Like I'm not gonna invest when I'm rich, you know? Like, or a person who's like, I'll work out when I have energy. It's like, bro, like, what do you think is causing your lack of energy? It's probably because you're living an unhealthy lifestyle, you know? And so we've reversed the script on so many of these things. We're stuck in have, do, be mode, where like we think that the thing that we want is a requisite to get to the thing that we want. It's like, no, it's not. You need to switch the paradigm. You need to reverse it. You need to shift to be, do, have, which is you act, you be first. You change your being, you change your inner world, you act from that being, and then you watch reality reward the frequency that you've been broadcasting, okay? You flip the paradigm. Instead of waiting for permission, you operate from conviction. Instead of chasing results, you attract the results. And then you're almost accessing your future self in a way. So like this isn't about pretending, it's about embodying a version of yourself that already exists, that hasn't been accessed yet. And so and so now, like just like in the example of just like the working out one, it's like instead of waiting, instead of being that person, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna work out when, or imagine somebody saying something as crazy as like, I'm gonna start working out when I'm healthy. It's like, what do you mean? Like you're unhealthy because you don't work out. Like you're not gonna become healthy if you're gonna wait till you work out. You're not gonna have healthiness. You're not gonna be healthiness if you don't be the person who is healthy. And so again, you switch it, you say, I am healthy, and you switch your inner world around that, and then you start doing the things that the future version of you would actually do. And now you begin to attract all of these things like health. You become the person, you do the things that person would do. So again, you become a healthy person, you do healthy person things like go to work out and eat healthy, and then you have those things because that, like, you've reversed the paradigm to be, do, have. That's how you need to live life, guys. We've been instructed from the very beginning that we've reversed it, and it's just so sad to see that everybody functions from have, do, be. Everyone functions from have, do, be. You'll just see it everywhere. Literally look at, like, I challenge you guys to just look at anything that anyone says and try to, or anything that anyone wants to achieve, right? Like somebody says like, I want to do this thing, but only when. And try to find the have and the be and the do. And you'll notice that their have it's like literally always will be, unless you're talking to somebody who is successful or who you know will be successful. The have is almost always before the do, and the be is last. And you want to have the be first. You want to see that person, like you, again, like you'll come across a person 3 years ago, right, who's now super in shape now. When 3 years ago, they're like, yeah, like I'm healthy as fuck. Like I go to the gym every day. And you look at them and they don't look super healthy, but like they're saying it and they're convicted in the way that they're saying it because they're doing the things that a healthy person would do. And then 3 years later, they have the body. They did the be, do, have. They didn't wait. They didn't reverse the script. Okay, so I'm just gonna move this here. Cool. So embodiment kills imposter syndrome, and this is important. So when you live from your future identity, imposter syndrome will dissolve. You're not faking it, you're stepping into alignment. Most people feel like frauds not because they're lying, but because they haven't rehearsed the new self enough to make it feel safe. Embodiment is what locks it in. You become undeniable by acting like you already are. So and this is again, like I had imposter syndrome when I was extremely fit 3 years ago. I was like, yo, like I just don't deserve this. Like I had like crazy imposter syndrome, and you'll see imposter syndrome in a lot of cases where like people just achieve things, but again, their inner world hasn't aligned with their outer world. So like their outer world is higher than it. Imposter syndrome, guys, in the outer world, inner world paradigm is when your outer world is way higher than your inner world, and you notice it. That's what imposter syndrome is, and so that gap that you feel is the imposter syndrome. And the bigger the gap, the bigger the imposter syndrome. And so you'll see like somebody again will even people, for example, like who just get money like from luck, for example, from a lottery, right? Like you'll see like a lot of them don't feel like they deserve the money. And again, they lose it because like they feel like an imposter to have that much money. I felt like an imposter when I was fit because again, I didn't believe that I deserved that body. And my inner world, again, I felt the gap and then I just regressed back, and the only way you can actually close the gap is by raising your inner world to whatever that outer world, that higher outer world is, so that you no longer are feeling any gap, You want it to be reversed. You want your inner world to be higher so that you're like, yo, like what I have right now is not as much as I know that I'm going to have in the future, okay? Congruence and flow. So when your inner world aligns with your behavior, friction disappears. And this is what I was talking about in the sense that things just become naturally easy. You don't burn out, you don't self-sabotage, you just flow. Congruence is when your nervous system stops fighting the identity you're trying to live. Life compounds in your favor because your energy is no longer leaking into conflict. You're not performing anymore. You're actually expressing who you are, your authentic self. And that is why it is so easy for Usain Bolt to go and do Usain Bolt things, which would be very hard for us. Why? Because his inner world his identity is founded on the fact that he is an elite racer who does elite racer things, who prioritizes his health, who goes to the gym, who sprints, who does all these things. And the things are just natural. They flow from the identity. Like it's not, you ask like Usain Bolt, like, yo, like, is it really hard for you to eat healthy? He'll be like, no, like, it's just a part of who I am. Like I'm like I need, like that's just who I am. Like I'm an elite sprinter. I'm gonna eat healthy, Whereas like somebody who, let's just take the example of like going to sprint every single day. Any of us who are trying to sprint every day, like dog. if you ask me to go to sprint every day, like I'm like I'm very, very sad. I was gonna say something out of pocket, but like I'm very depressed about that. Like, you know, there's no way I'm actually doing that. And that's because my identity isn't matching with that sort of outer world. So like there's just no way. And that's why when you want to do things, guys, that are better and you want to like wake up early and whatever, you're just focusing on the action. It's like stop focusing on waking up early and stop focusing on waking up early and start focusing on being the type of person that does wake up early. You know, you need to switch your identity, which is like, for example, like you need to make your identity something that waking up early just flows from naturally. So if your identity is like, I'm a very hard worker who enjoys to work in mornings, then waking up early is just going to be a natural symptom of that identity. But most people, and I used to have this issue so much, it's like I couldn't wake up early because my identity didn't allow it. I never actually understood the usefulness of waking up early. I just wanted to do it. You know, I just wanted to be a person who woke up early. And then I just went back to waking up at normal times until I actually like aligned with the identity of knowing, for example, my beliefs changed about identity. So again, identity then beliefs. My beliefs changed again about waking up early in the sense that like I noticed that waking up early is good for my circadian inputs and my circadian outputs would be better and I would actually feel better on a day-to-day basis and I would be healthier and I'd be more focused and my like all of these things would benefit and my beliefs about the world changed. My beliefs about myself changed, which is my identity, and then just waking up is just easy. You know, but again, the reason why it's easy is because there's no more friction between your inner and outer world. When your outer world isn't matching with your inner world, again, all these things are going to be so difficult to do. Okay, delayed reflection. So yeah, so again, reality is a lagging indicator, guys, and so what you're experiencing now is just a reflection of who you were. Again, that boomerang analogy that I talked about, which is like what you're experiencing now is just like is that boomerang that passed you through, and if it was a fucking shit throw, that's why you're in a shit situation right now. And if you just like soak up the fact that, and because people reject this inner outer world stuff because we expect immediate change, you know, like we just expect like, yeah, like why am I not rich like 2 days after I started my business? Like, bro, it's like you gotta wait for that. So throw a good boomerang now and actually hold and make sure that you throw it really well in the sense that you actually hold that temperature high for a long period of time, and your future self will catch the boomerang with no issue, and your outer world will actually change, okay? Change your inner world for today and the results will follow, but not instantly, they're just echoes, again. And so your future reality, this is why consistency matters. You don't change your identity once, you reinforce it until the feedback loop of reality catches up to who you've actually become. Reality will always catch up, guys. It will always catch up. And again, like where you are right now is proof of that. Your reality has caught up to your inner world that you used to have. That's why you're experiencing what you're experiencing right now. And so if you want that to change, you just change your inner world. That's literally this. That is it. That is how you achieve whatever you want to achieve. Okay, so discipline. Yeah, discipline is an interesting concept in the paradigm of inner and outer world. But so discipline is literally war in the sense that you are actually dismantling and killing an old self, okay? That version of you will not go quietly. It will beg for attention, familiarity, and survival. And every time you vent, complain, or repeat the old story, you feed it. You need to starve this old version of yourself. You need to speak only from the new identity. You need to let silence and consistency become your weapons. If you are quitting a substance, you don't say, yeah, I'm addicted, but I'm trying to not to be addicted. You say, no, I'm not addicted. I'm not I'm not addicted. You know, like that's that inner that identity shift that you need to undergo. Or when you say like I am successful or I am wealthy or whatever, you need to you're gonna hear stuff from your old self, and this is the hardest part. Is like that old self is just gonna try to bring you down as hard as it can because it hurts. That old self is like it's panicking. Imagine like it's like this ugly animal that's like starting to bark and yelp and trying to kill you because of how scared it is of dying. Like it doesn't want to die anymore and it's starting to go insane, and it will do whatever it can to sabotage your progress. You'll notice one wrong thing that you did, you know, you'll have one slow day, you'll miss one workout, and that old self will be like, you're a fucking failure. Like you're never gonna make it. And you need to realize that that's just a dead version of you trying to reincarnate itself. And by just allowing that self to starve, by not giving it oxygen, by not feeding into these narratives that we used to have about ourselves, that's when growth, that's what discipline is just not feeding into that. And that's why
and I made a video on this, but like the most disciplined people that you know aren't actually like, they don't feel disciplined. They're just identities like Hormozy and fucking David Goggins and Jocko and whatever. Like all these guys, you think they're so disciplined, but like even Goggins, like the guy is just natural. His identity is, his inner world when it comes to discipline is just so fucking high that like he doesn't actually say it's hard. It's just like, yeah, like I just do it, bro. Like I just fucking, who's gonna carry the fucking boats, you know? Like, and it's because his identity is that. And so it's easy for him to do, you know? It's not easy for other people to do because we don't have that same inner world that he has. And so when you starve that old version of yourself, it will be much, you'll see guys, it's just easy to wake up early. It's easy to work on your business. You're gonna want to work on your business. You're gonna want, I get so excited to go to the gym because I know, like, it's just a part of my identity. I know that I'm just gonna look better. It's healthy for me. It provides it's having muscle is gonna make me live longer, literally, like, you know, it improves your insulin response. There's just so many things that I know, my beliefs about the world, my beliefs about myself, that make these things actually exciting. And that's the best feeling, is like when you begin to change your identity, the things that you thought were hard begin to become like the most enjoyable things. If you hear Hormozy speak, I'm listening to a podcast, the newest one with him and Chris Williamson right now, and I'm about like 2 hours in. And Hormozy was saying like the most enjoyable thing for him to do is just write. You know, like he loves writing books. And to a normal person, you're like, bro, what? Like writing? Like really? And even for me, like I love writing, and it's because my inner world and Hormozy's inner world, for example, like on this exact topic, have risen and are found on an identity where like writing is pushing us forward towards our goals. It's a healthy thing to do. It's an enjoyable thing to do. And it becomes easy. Like it's easy for me to write. Like I actually, like people think like, bro, how do you do that much work? How do you write 10,000 words, whatever, because I posted on my story. And it's like, bro, like I actually just like to do it. And you'll see that people who actually have these businesses, they enjoy working on the businesses. You'll be like, man, like you must have a shitty fucking life. And it's like, yeah, some cases they do, but a lot of these people don't. Like they actually just enjoy the work, and it's because their identity is founded on the construct of I enjoy working towards my goals. I am successful. I am wealthy. I enjoy working on hard things. I enjoy doing hard things. That's literally something that I've journaled every single fucking day for like 4 years. I enjoy working on hard things, and it's become a part of my identity. Okay, and we'll talk about affirmation journaling pretty quickly here. So yeah, so rewiring identity through rituals. This is now how you kind of can tangibly do this. So like one good way actually is using music. So your nervous system doesn't shift from logic, it shifts from emotion, rhythm, and movement. And it's just very true. Again, your subconscious mind, again, doesn't give a fuck about what's real. It gives a fuck about what's true. And you can actually like, you can change the way that you feel towards these things by shifting, by having associations with certain things. So like when like a certain song that makes you motivated, or like for me it's soundscapes. I love soundscapes, and use them often when you're doing something hard, and like really immerse yourself into the feeling of like for example, when I journal, guys, I do affirmation journaling, okay, which is simply just an affirmation journaling in a condensed way of me explaining this, is essentially just saying, you are saying things like, I am, as if you are that person. Again, and now you guys understand why I'm saying as if you are that person, is because you need to act as if you are that future version of yourself. So like I envision my future self, and I would say things about that future self as if I'm that person, because I believe that I am that person. So my future self would, for example, be healthy, wealthy, be kind, whatever. And I say like, I am healthy, I am kind, I eat. And the more specific you are with the universe, guys, like the more quickly it kind of like rewards you. Again, I'm not making a metaphysical claim, chill. Like, I'm just like, this is just things that I've noticed. It's like, if you're really specific, like I eat this food during the day, and like I like working on my X business, and stuff like I like working on hard things. I also journal that though. By doing those things, you are subconsciously reprogramming your beliefs and your identity and your inner world, and then your filter changes, and then you begin to become that person who is healthy, because again, your actions change as a result, and then it's be, do, have. You become the person, you do the things, and then you have the thing that you want. And if the thing that you want is a better version of you, you need to become that person, and a good way to become that person is to actually, again, give yourself that first lie. It's like I am that person. You are closing the gap between you and that person. You don't say, I will be successful, because by saying I will be successful, you are now introducing a gap between you and that person. You are implying that you are not that person. You need to say I am whatever it is, you know, and you just say like a ton of them. You just do that. That's what affirmation journaling is, okay? Amongst other types of journaling. There's cathartic release journaling that I like to do, and there's like shadow prompts from like Jungian shadow work and stuff like that. But affirmation journaling is very powerful. I use it essentially every single day. It takes like 3 to 5 minutes. You like put a song on, one that really puts you into that mode, get emotional, and really envision yourself. The more you can visualize it, guys, the more real it becomes. And that's just a really interesting topic I won't get into right now because it's kind of, but essentially your brain can't, your mind can't tell the difference between something that's going on in real life and something that's going on in your head. So if you can bring about the emotions that are associated with, okay, you know, I'm just gonna explain it. If you can bring about the emotions that are associated with a certain version of yourself, then your mind actually can't tell that that's not going on in real life. For example, when you recall a traumatic event in your past and you feel all the trauma, you feel all the adrenaline and all of the hormones and the rush and the increased heart rate, the reason why is because your body can't actually tell if it's happening or not. That's why you have that. It's crazy. Like your brain just doesn't know if it's happening. So it gives you all of these things. If you recall like you being attacked by a fucking bear, you know, you'll have like the same adrenaline response that you had during the attack of the bear. Fucking crazy, because your brain doesn't know. The fact that you can just envision something that vividly will cause your brain to release the same hormones, neurochemicals in your body as if you were actually experiencing it now. And in the same way, if you envision something in the future, your brain will release the exact same neurochemicals, hormones, whatever, as if you were actually experiencing it now. And that's what really creates these profound emotional shifts that change your identity, okay? So, and that's why visualization is another strong technique, and it's very simple. You close your eyes at the beginning of the day or whenever during the day, and you actually visualize exactly what your life would look like. Where are you waking up? What do the floors of your house look like? What do you look like? What are you looking at like when you look like in the mirror? What do you do on a day-to-day basis? What do you read? What do you eat? All these things, you visualize it, and again, your brain just can't tell that it's not happening, and that's how you kind of rewire your identity, okay? Use posture, so stack rituals that cue your body into the new identity. And again, like when you feel tired and you're like fucking like this, you want to like actually sit up straight, you know, like give yourself, tell your body, again, you can't tell that you're not that person if you just tell yourself that you are by doing these things. Use visual anchors. This isn't about affirmations on paper. It's about training your nervous system to feel safe in the new self until it becomes the default. Vision boards are a perfect example of this. I'm the biggest supporter of vision boards. If you can ever make a vision board, I can talk about this another time. I won't get into it, but they are just so fucking powerful, guys. Like the subconscious impact that they have on you just by looking at things. Again, you don't know what's going on. Your subconscious filters, and you don't choose what it filters. If you're constantly looking at a photo of you, of a beautiful house that like and that you really want every single day, you don't realize that that is literally being integrated into your subconscious mind of like, I am wealthy, I'm going to own a house like that, and then it changes your life, you know? So vision boards, guys, if you guys can do it, like highly recommend. Life-changing. Even something as simple as like changing your wallpaper of your phone, putting notes around the house that like, I am this, or like things like that. That's all getting absorbed by your subconscious and you don't realize it. And it's just so powerful. I like that stuff. Okay, and so your environment is a mirror, okay? So your environment is either a permission slip or a trap. Every object, sound, and person around you speaks to who you believe you are. Clean your space, change your clothes, redesign your inputs, and if it belongs to the old identity, you burn it. You're not upgrading, you're just becoming unrecognizable. And so it's just very true, like, start acting as that person, guys. What would they dress up as? Like, and again, like, it doesn't need to be some crazy fucking, like clothes you can't afford, but like, how would they dress in general, you know? What would their space look like? What would they do during the day? Just start acting like the person, like actually, like just like start acting. Like very simple things, like what drinks are you drinking throughout the day, you know? Like how much water are you drinking in a day? Start doing whatever that person would do. You'll see that your outer world will just match, it will match. And it's just crazy, like, just by doing these little things, you're telling your subconscious, just by dressing differently, you know how this person would dress, you are training your subconscious to actually filter out things that don't align with that person, and you are becoming that person. And then eventually, again, you look back and you're like, holy fuck, like I became the person. My outer world has just changed, you know? Yeah. Okay, this is so important. This is unbelievably important. Yeah, trauma, okay, trauma. Trauma is literally like, it's the one thing that I feel like if you don't address, your inner world will always be at least weighted down. It will be weighted down. okay? Unprocessed trauma is like an invisible gravity. It pulls you back to safety, safety that usually looks like limitation. Until you confront your traumas, okay, your nervous system will literally reject success, not because it isn't possible, but because it isn't safe. You can't install a new self over emotional landmines. You need to disarm them first, and this is just so important, guys. Like I didn't realize the power of confronting your traumas until I had confronted mine myself. My derealization was one of them, and just like a lot of stuff that I've went through. And I know everyone on this call has went through some pretty fuck shit, okay? And we tend to just ignore these traumas, and we think that we've processed them, but we actually haven't. You need to go back to these times and really like come face to face with the truth, okay? And as long as you don't come face with those truths, and it can be very hard to do, and you do it by like therapy, you do it by journaling, like cathartic release journaling, which cathartic release journaling is very complex, but I'll make videos on that, but and like shadow work and stuff like that. When you visualize success, your body will just tense up, okay? Like if you affirm worthiness, your chest will lock up, and it's because part of you still believes it's not safe to be seen and it's dangerous to expand, okay? Like, and if that part isn't addressed, it will override every identity shift that you try to make. You're not failing because you're weak, you're being pulled back by scripts that you haven't even looked at. And it's just very true. Like you need to go back into these times, and you need to I guess go face to face with these traumas, and it can be really scary. Like people avoid. The sad thing is like people will literally avoid these for their entire lives, and they think that it didn't affect them until you see like they just never achieved anything that they wanted to achieve. And it's because they just never were. And man, like it hurts, and it's like salting a wound. But again, like it's like salting a wound that it's extremely infected, and it hurts a fuck ton to like put alcohol and salt and whatever on it. But then you realize the wound will heal, and then you'll actually be able to use that limb again. You know, as long as the wound is there, the limb will just be, whatever limits that wound is on, will be unusable, whether it's your leg, arm, whatever. It's the same idea. You need to just go back to these traumas, and that's the only way. Like your inner world is being like almost held down by these bags of weight and it's really hard to bring that inner world up as long as those traumas aren't actually being addressed. Okay, how would I prevent regression and tips not to regress? Okay. I'll go into that in a sec. And actually, Bente, I don't know if I've answered that or not with what I said, but if not, then I'll definitely go into that. And so, how would you go about confronting these traumas? Okay, so Dilhan, I would say one of the big ones is. And what I'll do, honestly, is like I'll make a PDF on how to do cathartic release journaling. But cathartic release journaling is essentially like you give yourself these prompts that are typically given by a therapist or a professional or somebody who understands this stuff very well. And they're very open-ended prompts, but they do have to do with the trauma specifically. And you write about it. You simply write about it. And I've spoken about this a lot of my stories, but you will realize that by writing, the things, guys, I can't explain this. Like it's just insane. But like when you begin to write on paper, okay, with a pen and paper, not type, just pen and paper, you will realize that you will begin to write things that you never knew even existed in your mind. Like you'll just begin to just go into these like crazy corridors, and the more you do it, the darker the corridors are that you begin to go through in your mind, and you begin to like writing down like doing cathartic release journaling has literally like made me remember things that I never even remembered about my life. Like I had blocked out, like just out of trauma, and it's because like when you are writing, your thoughts slow down tremendously. The way we think extremely fast as human beings, guys. Because like even like we think about like hundreds of thoughts per minute, and the thing is like we think that we know the answers to these things. Like even if I were to say, how did your trauma affect you right now, right? Like think of any trauma, how did it affect you? You just like immediately come up with these things, and I'm telling you right now, that is the most superficial response that you will ever come across until you just begin to write. And when you write, you're going to be writing about it. Like for example, something as simple as like. why do you not like being fat, right? Like something like that. And let's say I were to think about that, and I'd be like, oh, because I just don't like the way I look, okay? And you're thinking very quickly, and then that's over. Like I don't like being fat because I don't like how I look. But now when you begin to write, for example, what happens is your thoughts are forced to slow down to the speed of your hand, and that's much slower than your thoughts. And so now you're saying, I don't like to be fat because of the way I look. And while you're writing because of the way I look, now you begin to think of this one time that you remembered that you didn't like the way you look. And then you begin to remember like, oh, and there was this one time before school in grade 12 that I woke up and I looked at myself and I wanted to throw up because of how, and then while you're writing that, you begin to remember. And actually, like, I remember like this one guy when I was in grade 8 told me how ugly I was. And then when you're writing that, you're like, and oh my God, and my mom like once said something about me that actually made me really insecure. And then while you're writing, and then you begin to see like all of these thoughts begin to percolate that you didn't know existed. And the only way that you can come into contact with these thoughts is by slowing down your thoughts, and the only way you can do that is by writing, guys. I'm telling you, just try. And like people have this huge resistance, like, bro, like this is so fucking like stupid. It's like, no, guys, like the smartest people that you'll ever come across, these philosophers and whatever, like they all wrote, and it's because writing is a very profound thing. And it's why so many people like when I was writing everything that I was showing on my story yesterday, I was all on paper because I'm way more generative with ideas, and I've like the zoo analogy, right? Like I wouldn't have came to the zoo analogy, which I really like, if I didn't write, like that's why you see new generation of ideas, and you come into contact with these narratives about yourself that you never knew existed. And Bensley, to answer your question, is like that's a huge way that you can actually prevent regression, is by coming into contact with these traumas and these narratives that you might not know exist about yourself. And then when you're writing and you're like, and so you're realizing like, okay, like I actually, like, this person said I was fat when I was in grade 7, and you're writing like in depth about the story, like what color clothes you were wearing, and you're like, holy fuck, like I can't even remember, like, believe I remembered this, like I don't even remember this. And then you realize that these narratives about you, you're like, wait, I wasn't that fat, or like, wait, like that actually isn't true about me anymore. And that moment, I need to record right here. Sorry guys, I just edged you so hard. That moment when you're like, holy fuck, oh no, my computer died. Okay, here, let me do, I'm gonna join Zoom here. Bro, oh my God, that's actually so crazy.
Oh, they are.
Oh my God, you guys are still here. Okay, guys, my fucking computer died mid-flow. That is actually like the most brutal shit. Anyways, I'm so fucking sorry that happened. Bro went to write something on Matrix Attack. Bro. Okay. Anyways, guys, I'm back. Yeah, bro, the fucking Matrix like was getting worried about me here. Holy fuck. So, anyways, I think I was talking to Bensley there, but like, and I'm gonna share my screen really quick. Yeah. Okay. So I think I have my fucking earbuds in, bro. Where are my earbuds? Okay, yeah. I need to get back into my flow here.
On your computer?
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy though. I was fucking getting into that shit, bro. But I hope I was providing some insight. Okay. Okay, cool. So, yeah, so when you guys can hear me, right? Okay, yes. Yeah, okay, it's on. Okay, cool. So again, it's only when you come into contact with that, with those deepest traumas, and again, it's in that moment where you realize it is not true about yourself, that your identity actually changes. It's in that moment where you begin to rewrite these narratives about yourself. And that's why therapy is actually a very good thing. And again, like, unfortunately, there's just a very negative connotation with therapy because of how shit some therapists are. But if you have a good therapist, they could change your life because they are professionally trained to ask these very, very probing, emotionally probing questions that will cause you to enter these corridors of your mind, and you'll see, like, you'll begin to like have like a fucking panic attack, bro. Like, and you'll start crying and shit. And that's like one of a really good sign of therapy, by the way. It's called cathartic release, which is you're releasing cathartically. You begin to have like a panic attack, and like you'll see like the client or patient will be like, like, because like, they're like reliving the experience, and that's good. That means that you're actually coming into contact with that wound and you're salting it, and that's when you can begin to rewrite these narratives about yourself. And so you notice, like, oh my God, like, I'm actually not incapable of being successful, or this thing that this person said about me being a fucking loser isn't actually true. And then you don't realize that that thing that that person said when you were in grade 6 or 7 has actually been rooted into your identity and caused you to change your perception of reality. Why? Because as we now know, that identity thing, that identity construct that that person has been infected with somebody else's belief about you, again, Pygmalion effect, has caused your perception of reality to change, and your life changes because your RAS, your reticular activating system, has now caused you to just filter more things that don't align with that belief of you being a loser, you know. And then you just, now you begin to notice things that, like, you just begin to believe you're a loser. And again, when you believe you're a loser, like we said, guys, your subconscious doesn't care about if you're not a loser or not. It doesn't care about what the truth is. It cares about what you believe. And if you believe you're a loser, it will try to find things to confirm that belief. And so that is why it's very important to try to come into contact with these narratives about us that can only be contacted through methods of like therapy and meditation and introspective work and cathartic release journaling and things like that, where you realize that these things actually aren't true about us. Okay. We're recording, right? Yeah, no, it's recording. Okay, cool. Okay, back to here. Cool. So, yeah. So healing as capacity expansion. So healing's true purpose is you don't heal to feel better. You heal to hold better. You're able to actually, like, and by holding better, your inner world can actually now go higher than it used to be able to. And your nervous system is a container, okay? So if you try to upgrade your life without expanding that container, it will just spill. You have a maximum capacity for your inner world as long as these traumas aren't being directly addressed, as long as you don't look them back in the eye. And so emotional excavation through journaling, meditation, therapy is how you widen your capacity, and that is what makes the new identity sustainable, not just accessible, okay? That's because now, like, there's nothing turning down the thermostat. There's no fucking monkey in the room that's like constantly just fucking turning down the thermostat because, like, it just wants to, because it likes to bugs you, you know? That's your traumas. It's like the fucking monkey. Yeah. So shadow work is integration. So your transformation is incomplete without integration, and shadow work isn't about confronting demons. And Jung talks about this. It's about reclaiming them. So the parts that you hide, you repress, or deny and hold, or deny, hold the very energy you need to evolve. And so anger, envy, and fear, these aren't actually enemies of yours. We usually have these negative emotions in us that we tend to suppress. But what's really interesting is, like, and Jung talked about this, Carl Jung, who was a psychiatrist, student of Freud, and he talked about how, like, our shadow, so these parts of ourselves that we repress, which are our shadow, which we don't like to get into contact with, which might be, again, these, like, conventionally negative emotions, are actually just, once you suppress them into your shadow actually reveals itself in the outside world. So you begin to see anger, hate, jealousy in other people, and you begin to become jealous of them as well. And, like, and it creates this very scary downward cycle where it will ruin your life. And you'll see this in people who haven't addressed their traumas, where, like, their shadow is being presented in the external world. And this is extremely synonymous to the idea of your inner world just being projected onto your outer world. Your outer world is just a reflection of your inner world. And if you integrate them, if you're not scared of them, it turns them into actual fuel, okay? And, like, again, it's just coming into contact. By doing that, by coming into contact with these by being very honest with ourselves about like, why am I angry? What am I angry about? What am I envious about? What am I fearing? Why am I, and constantly asking why, will transform your life in the sense that you don't have these weights that are weighing down your inner world. Okay, safety as the gatekeeper of change. So you cannot embody a new identity if your nervous system perceives it as a threat. This is why trauma work is foundational. Your system has to feel safe to express power, abundance, love, or freedom. Otherwise, you will self-regulate back to survival patterns. Safety isn't comfort, it is capacity, okay? Yeah, and so what's important is you need to stop waiting for someone to authorize your breakthrough. You don't need more proof. You just need a green light. You don't need a green light. You just need to start, and you are the author. Like you are, again, guys. You have to. It's be do have. You need to stop waiting for the have part. You need to reverse the paradigm into be do have. Start acting as the person because you're the author of your life. You are the author of your inner world. You cannot change the outer world. All you can do is change the inner world, and your outer world will just match it. Okay, that's the only thing you can change. Everything inside. The moment you decide to own your power, you recalibrate the frequency others perceive you on. Reality bends to those who broadcast conviction. And again, like as soon as you turn your inner world frequency to the frequency of like, I own a fucking Ferrari, right? You literally own the Ferrari the moment you turn your inner frequency to that. Like you actually own it. Like literally you own it. It just hasn't manifested in your outer world yet. And all you need to do is just hold the temperature and then you will own it, you know? You literally own these things. A successful person is a successful person regardless of whether they have money or not. It's just their outer world matching it. Let's say like, again, if you put a Usain Bolt's brain into an obese person's body, you would know that they're going to become an elite sprinter. And you would say, yeah, like that's an elite sprinter. They're just fat right now. You know, but they are an elite sprinter. And then again, their outer world matches. So, what's up?
How long does it take for reality to catch up to identity?
Yeah, so I would say like it depends on things I've spoken about, like how much traumas you have and how long it takes to address those traumas, how deep those traumas are, and how large your goals are. The bigger the room, the longer it takes for the room to heat up. You know, like if you have the animal room and it's a really, really big zoo room, and you're turning it up to 40 degrees, or let's say you're turning up to 50 degrees, it's like the goal's even higher, you need to wait longer for that room to heat up to that heat, and you need to hold your inner world at that frequency for a longer amount of time, which makes it harder, but it makes the animals that actually come into that room much more rare, and that's why people who hold like in a room, a zoo room of like 60 degrees, super high, only have very certain animals and plants that can survive in that environment. But those animals and plants that survive in that environment are ones that are very rare to come across, and usually the most like profound ones. You know, like you see like the coolest species and whatever.
That framework is kind of linear. So like that doesn't did Elon have no like trauma? Did he just like his identity was that much bigger than everyone else's?
No. So yeah, and that's actually a good question. I thought I actually had a slide on this, but yes. So yeah, like your inner and outer world isn't. Yeah. Can you repeat the part though about like Elon not having trauma?
Yeah, did he like? Yeah.
Oh, because like he achieved success really quickly. You're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say that like, and Jordan Bound actually talks about this, but like, luck plays a role. Luck plays a role. You know, so like there is a role of luck, but the thing is in the end, if you were to just extend time, you'll always see regression to the mean, whatever the standard is. So like, for example, two people post on social media, and one has a very, very high inner world, and the other has an okay inner world, but the one person has like randomly hit a really good algorithm sequence, and they go to like 50,000 followers. The other person has an extremely high inner world, but luckily just, unfortunately just hasn't hit a good algorithm sequence, and they say at 1,000 followers. If you just hold those two people in the same container for long enough, you will see that they will regress back to whatever mean it is. Even to the point where like the person who actually has a low inner world will begin to lose followers because people are like, oh, like this guy isn't that impressive. So luck does play a role. Elon is an example of someone who had an extremely high inner world and he had luck at the same time. He's an example of somebody who won the lottery and held it at $6 million. right? Because again, there are the people who win the lotteries and their outer world is way higher than their inner world and it regresses back. But there are some people, and again, there's like 30% of people who win the lottery who actually keep the money. Why do they keep it? Because their outer world actually just their inner world was right here. They had a fucking crazy bout of luck, like Elon, let's say, and their outer world matched, and they didn't actually regress back because their inner world held whatever the outer world was. There are people who win the lottery and who actually, like, let's say, deserved, right? Like a person who is really entrepreneurial, just fucking throws some money in the lottery, super investment driven, gets lottery, they're smart with the money, and they stay rich, you know? So it has to do with things like that. Elon is somebody who strikes me that has a fuck ton of traumas, interestingly enough. And again, like, I guess, I don't know Elon though. So like, I just can't tell, but the fact that he's doing fucking ket in the White House is just, I think, says a lot. But and the way that he acts in public, I think you can just tell that he's like quite, I don't know. In my opinion, seems to be a hollow person, and I think it goes back to like his Asperger's and potentially him being just brutally bullied when he was a kid and maybe never addressing those traumas. And I mean that's showing now. Like his outer world is dropping. Like he used to be like much more respected than he was now. You know, he looks like a fucking clown right now. And so like interestingly enough is like his inner world maybe dropped back down, or his inner world wasn't actually as high as his outer world was when he was the owner of Tesla, and everyone was like, wow, this guy is really the guy, the man. And then yeah, all of a sudden, like, look at him now. Like, I mean, to most people, like, he's not that respectable of a person. I mean, to me, he isn't. You know, to me, he's a joke that has just achieved a lot of success. But like, respect to everything that he's achieved, though. Like, that was nothing that was easy. And I think I say that I could do either.
How much more presentation do you have? Because I have actually like some really good questions.
Almost done. Yeah, I'm almost done. And so, yeah, huh? Oh, somebody asked a question? Wait, why can't I see the chat? Oh. I can't. Could his inner world changing directly impact Tesla stock? 100% Bensei. Like, I would say that, like, again, so his outer world is going to match his inner world, and he has a huge impact on the Tesla stock. So, for example, just the fact of, like, Elon's inner world, let's say, being, like, again, like, I think he's, like, a traumatized individual, and now it's kind of showing, like, the way that he's behaving on the public scene, and the things that he tweets are just so, like, embarrassing. Like, it used to be funny, genuinely. Like, I used to laugh at some of his tweets, but now it's just, like, he's just saying crazy shit. Everyone knows, and with Grok and, like, just the shit that he says about Sam, just embarrassing. That has actually manifested in the Tesla stock not being as high, you know, because people have actually lost respect for Elon, and then Tesla stock drops. And the more that his outer world regresses to his inner world, whatever his inner world is at, you'll see that his outer world will continue to, let's say Elon's inner world is actually super, super low, and we begin to realize, like, Elon's a fraud, let's say, you know, like, you'll see Tesla stock will also just drop because people are like, fuck this guy, I don't trust in his company anymore, and then they're done. Do you think he could regress the point on Kanye West? That's just an interesting question. I think that's like, you would just have to know them more fundamentally. I think, like, it again, like the whole Hitler thing with Elon was just like, that was just for me like the inflection point for him for when I realized that Elon was just, yeah, like, he has a lot of he's a complex character that has a lot of things that need to be resolved. But, and then again, so like, I do think Bensei, like, yeah, like the Tesla stock is just a perfect example, I guess, of like the outer world of Elon just matching his inner world. And so you've already seen this, right? Like, from what I'm aware, right? Like, Tesla stock has dropped. Bensei, correct me if I'm wrong. It's back up. Okay, well, yeah, and so like, again, so you'll see fluctuations. You'll see fluctuations because, again, your outer world you'll have jumps. You'll win lotteries, you'll lose lotteries, things like that, and it will always just regress back to the mean. Always, you know, like, you're always going to have fluctuations in your outer world, but your inner world is what it will always regress back to, your standard, and we don't know where that's going to be. And again, the only thing that's separating what Tesla stock is truly at is just time. You know, only time will tell. And that's why like these crazy fucking companies that are unknown, right? Like, and like now there's like nuclear power and like so there's like the new drugs like the GLP-1 agonists and stuff. You know that like a lot of these are going to be successful if in the case like some people in there maybe no. I mean again like you're or let's just like let's get rid of luck. Fuck the nuclear power. Let's just say like you just know there's this crazy idea that somebody came up with, nobody knows about it, but they know that it's really good and you know that it's really good and you're like, holy fuck, this is going to change the world. You see that company eventually just fucking like skyrocket, right? That's a perfect example of outer world matching inner world. The person knew it was successful, they worked super hard at it, they innovated something brand new, and then their outer world matched, the stock matched, you know, whatever that the true value of that thing was. So like stocks are actually like a good example in my opinion, of how like outer world and inner world relate. Regarding specific companies, though, I think like Bitcoin, for example, is like just a very complex thing that there's a lot more factors that are going into that rather than just like an objective metric like the value of medication, for example, you know, and like how much value it provides to people. Rituals. I'm glad that was good, Bensei. Yeah, and so again, we talked about these, like music is really good, movement, so don't just do routines, infuse them with meaning, simply like, yeah, like literally like the way that you move, I swear guys, your general posture, right, can have such a profound impact on the way that you view yourself because again, like people that are like depressed will like have like, or anxious will have like weird postures and people who are confident we'll see like just resonate, or like have this gravitas to them. They have eye contact. Things like that will subconsciously tell you that you're the person that you're trying to be. Mantras, rituals, or reminders, they teach your body who it is becoming. Mantras can be something as simple as repeating a statement about yourself, you know, and then presence. Train your nervous system to feel safe in the new story. Momentum and tipping points. So this is important. 3 more, by the way, York, pretty much done. Change doesn't happen linearly, as I said, York. It stacks invisibly and then explodes. So this kind of answers your question. So you don't get to choose when the shift clicks, but you do get control whether it can. Stay in motion, stack micro proofs, and the tipping point is gonna come. You just need to keep walking through the dark, and the light will always flip. Always. And like it's the same thing with, and luck just plays into a role. Is like some people just like have like the light will switch much quicker than somebody else. But again, it's like if you just hold that temperature of the room, guys, like at the higher degree, it will rise to whatever that is. It's just a matter of time. It really is. And that's why, and just the sad thing is people just give up. They just give up because their outer world isn't rising. The temperature of the room isn't rising enough. The light isn't flipping, and they're like, fuck this. And they just regress back to their inner world. And yeah, it's really sad to see, like, it really is. Like, it really, like, but it literally breaks my heart, like, just to see that people have this potential, but they just, like, are like, you know what, fuck this. Like, that my outer world isn't matching my inner world. And it will. And so the mirror room principle, we're pretty much done, guys. So life is a mirror room, okay? It's not a classroom, it's a mirror room. You know those mirror rooms that you enter and it just reflects everything back at you? Like, they're really cool. I don't know if you guys have ever been in one. But, like, every experience reflects back your beliefs, your fears, your desires, and your standards, okay? And if you don't like what you see, you don't smash the mirror, okay? You change the face that's looking into the mirror, okay? And reality will respond. The world isn't happening to you, it's reacting to you. Everything that you see, guys, and this is looping the full circle back to the beginning of the lecture, is just a reflection of you. You are not actually seeing reality for what it is, you are seeing it for what you are. That's it. That's why 2 people can look at the exact same thing. 2 people can look at a cigarette bud, something as simple as that, and have tremendously different experiences of looking at the exact same thing. Like, how interesting is that? Like, there's literally a philosophical thing called constructivism, how we construct our realities based off our experiences and our beliefs and our standards. And it's just like me and for example, my father, right? He was in the military and he started smoking when he was in the military. Me and him can look at the exact same cigarette, okay? And he would have like this entire collection of memories that are associated with this cigarette let's say on the floor. And I wouldn't feel anything. Like, I think of like the occasional rave where I smoked a cig, you know, like that's it. But like, my dad would have like these memories of military and of being in like Syria and like all these things, like when he was stressed and he had to like, maybe like really sad moments in his life when he had to smoke like a cig, you know, like we all have those moments. And it's crazy that like the cigarette is the same. It's the same thing that we're looking at. It's the same thing. Just think about how crazy that is. We are just seeing a reflection of ourselves on the world. And that it doesn't just go for cigarettes, guys. It goes for everything. You looking at this screen right now. You looking at me. Everyone that's looking at this screen right now and looking at my face has a different interpretation of me, thinks of me in a different way, has constructed a different idea of Amr than every single other person, you know? And that's true for you as well. Everyone has a different construction of you in their minds as well. So yeah, this goes back to like you, by just changing who you are, by changing the projector, right? Like imagine your life is a movie that's being played out, you know? You don't try to fix the screen. You change the projector that's projecting that movie, and that's how you will change everything. And so yeah, so you start with a lie, and it's like a delusional statement, and then it becomes something that you start to believe slowly through repetition. Again, you need to just consistently do the thing, guys. Consistently wake up early, embody that person, but again, from identity, from the bottom of your inner world, through continuous reinforcement, and then it will become a part of your identity. It will be the foundation of your inner world, and then it will finally manifest as your lived truth, that your physical outer world lived truth. The only variable is how long you're willing to rehearse it in the dark, before that that light switch has flipped. The world will write it into law if you don't quit first. Literally, like it's just a matter of whether you quit or not. Most people do. Yeah, so you already are becoming. And so Jean-Paul Sartre, one of my favorite philosophers, talks about this. But like whether you intentionally or choose or not, you are constantly choosing right now. Like you are choosing who you want to be right now. And one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is that like inaction is a decision. And by doing nothing, we just don't look at the cost of inaction. But it's like people think that inaction is doesn't have a valence to it. It's neutrally valenced, you know? But inaction has a valence, and it can be very negatively valenced if you don't take action. People think like, oh, like I'm not gonna invest in myself. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. And they think it's like nothing changes, but like a lot changes. Like you've actually lost so much. That's huge. There's a huge cost with that inaction, and you need to take action in order to change your life. And so the question is, who are you rehearsing? What are you choosing right now? You are choosing right now. By coming to this lecture, you chose, you know, something in your identity, in your beliefs, in your emotions, in your actions made you come to this. And you need to now ask after, it's like, who are you going to rehearse after this? What person are you going to embody after this? Again, guys, like, I'm not going to do it for you. Nobody's going to do it for you. You are the story, you are the author, and you are the voice. So you need to choose. You feed the new identity, and you have to starve the old one that you don't want to be. And yeah, you have to step into the vision before it makes sense. That's the biggest thing, guys. It's like, it's not going to feel normal at first. It's not going to feel normal to be the person that you haven't seen in the outer world yet. It's not going to feel normal to say, yeah, like I'm not fat when you have physical fat, but like you know that like you're healthy. You know, like you need to be able to say, yeah, I'm healthy, even if you have the physical fat. Say yes before the thing has actually happened, before it's confirmed, before it feels earned, before the applause. And by saying yes now, yeah, you allow the world to catch up. So that was a long one. That was good though, guys. Let me know if anyone has any questions. York has a few that he's written down.
Do you want to start hard or easy first?
Oh God, I'm scared, bro. I'm scared of you. Okay, let's start easy.
Have you tried any esoteric tools like numerology, astrology, human design? Because I've used those myself, and they've actually like helped me create new beliefs about who
Really?
yeah,
Numerology, astrology.
and human design.
No, I haven't. Can you like explain? Would you be willing to?
So
Are you on the mic? Guys, can you hear York? Like how well can you hear York?
come sit over here.
Okay, yeah. Sure.
Well, so like 2 years ago when GPT-3 was released, I like went so deep. I gave my location I was born, the date I was born, and then I just like prompted GPT and I was like, you are an esoteric master. Tell me everything about myself based on esoteric wisdom and whatnot. And it would tell me like shit that was like not completely unreasonable. It was like pretty aligned. Like you have like creative proclivities, stuff like that, like a lot more. But yeah, you should.
Yeah, that's interesting because again, like that goes back to the idea of like just being told something like you are depressed
Yeah.
can make you depressed. Like
Yeah.
like a physician, it's the Pygmalion effect. And so literally it's something as simple as like AI telling you. And this is why, guys, by the way, like I don't believe in astrology, but like it actually is usually true. You know why? Is because we are self-fulfilling prophecies. When we are told, like I'm a Gemini and I'm told these things about me that align with me, it's because like I naturally, whatever you're told about like astrology, and you're like, damn, like that's actually really accurate, whatever. It's because you've probably heard it before in the past, and you begin to subconsciously embody those traits. And so like, if this makes sense in the sense that like just something as simple as I think it died, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, you want to like record with that? One sec. So something as simple as being told. Can you record with your phone actually? Or I guess it might be worth it. Or actually even with mine. Yeah, but I guess it's cool because now everyone in this lecture who has stayed to the end kind of understands why that would work. Is like by being told by AI your identity level, right? Like all the way back to like the beginning where your identity is the bottom thing. And somebody just telling you, an AI telling you, right? That like, oh, you're a Capricorn, therefore like you have like zero emotional regulation or some shit like that. You subconsciously like absorb that, and by constantly absorbing that, you almost embody it. And that's why you typically find these, oh, like most people who are this, it's because it's like self-fulfilling prophecies, in my opinion. In my opinion, I'm not gonna, I don't want to fight with anyone about astrology, but like, that's why I think it's usually true, is because it's just, yeah, that. Anyways,
Um, okay. How much is the process of uh, creating new beliefs grounded in reality slash first principles versus assumptions and projections?
let me read it. Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay, here we go, guys. This is this is why I avoid York. Okay, how long does oh no, it was okay, how much is the process of creating new reality
Belief.
or new beliefs grounded in reality and first principles versus assumptions and projections? Oh, like you're saying like how do they compare to each other in terms of like their effect on you?
Yeah, like so if I believed if I was myself was poor and I am poor, like I have $0 in my bank account, creating that new belief that I'm rich and
Mm-hmm.
abundant,
Hmm.
is that based on me telling myself I'm rich and abundant because of these things, or is it more like because I just trust, or that's a bad example, but
Give me another example because I want to give like a good answer.
like say, well, I feel like it's pretty obvious now that I think about it, but like if if I want a wife,
Mhm.
but I'm like super lonely and I believe that I'm unlovable, do I have to do things to show myself that it's lovable, or can I just like write and affirm myself and like
Mm,
be like,
mm.
you know,
Okay, but the thing is, like, by doing things, would be in first principles, like ground in reality, over assumptions and projections. So the assumptions and projections would be writing, I guess, like I am lovable, whatever. Whereas like
yeah,
the beliefs grounded in reality would be actually like performing as if.
yeah,
Okay, so I mean, yeah, that's a good question. So I would say like they correlate a lot. And if you're if you're acting like you're lovable, but again, you haven't actually inherited that belief on an identity level, then I would say you are now, your outer world is not actually, your inner world is actually not matching your outer world. So you might have temporary like success in finding a wife, but if your inner world is founded on the identity, again, like this bottom level, that you are not lovable, then eventually your outer world will regress to that, and like your partner will feel that, like in the ways that you act, in the ways that you are performing now. You are not actually being true. You're not expressing off yourself. You are performing another self. And so the way that you can change this, for example, is by switching these assumptions that you have about yourself. And one of the methods in doing that is affirmation journaling. Is it the only thing, or does it work every time? No, it needs to be several things, like visualizing who you are, affirming that you are that person. By changing your identity on that level, then you will actually see changes in like manifest reality, which is like the ways that you act. And then you'll actually act differently. You will act as a person who is lovable, but not out of performance, but out of expression of an authentic self.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of related to that quote that Hermosi says, like, you do not get confident by drilling,
Yes.
screaming affirmations
Yeah,
in the
but by
mirror.
having a stack of
Undeniable proof
that you are the person that you say you are. Yeah.
So that's kind of like that question.
Yes.
How
Yeah.
do you stack the proof
Right.
that you are lovable, or
by
that you
being
are
the
rich?
person, by becoming that person, and by becoming that person, you will start stacking proofs. And the proofs can be as simple as the micro wins, the winning effect. You know, there's the Pygmalion effect and the winning effect of like becoming the person, stacking your micro proofs of, yo, my space is clean, I did my bed, I worked out today, and that's your stack of undeniable proof that you begin to stack and stack and stack. And once you get those micro wins, you can start to progress to bigger wins and bigger wins and bigger wins. And then you have now suddenly become this new person, right? So you need to be the person first. You can't have anything, you know?
So it's more about being than becoming, because becoming implies
1000%.
that you're not that
Exactly.
already.
1000%. Be do have. Yeah, you must be. And I actually wrote about that exactly, is like you never want to be in the eternal state of becoming, because then you will forever be in the becoming.
There will always be a lack.
Yeah,
and
forever. You're implying a lack just by saying you are becoming.
Yeah.
You know?
Have you heard Kapil Gupta?
No.
He has a podcast with Naval. I'll send it to you.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Naval's on there?
Yeah.
Oh, that means
and Naval was asking him questions. He was like, I need to scrape the surface. Like,
wow.
I've never heard Naval on a podcast in that context.
I mean, yeah, Naval's like only like on 3 podcasts ever, so that's crazy.
And then this last question.
Okay. Repeat the podcast. It was.
I'll send it in the WAP or.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But what was it?
Kapil Gupta. So Kapil Gupta.
Yeah. Okay.
And the first one's Naval, and then he has like a book that's pretty good.
Okay. Okay. York asked, does the process of changing reality and your identity involve leveraging the ego, or is it more about dissolving the ego? Oh God, this is Western philosophy versus Eastern philosophy. Okay, so I would say I gotta think about that.
That's the last question.
Okay, so I'll say what I'm thinking right now. That's tough though. Okay, so I think ego is necessary. Okay, and I think Buddhism teaches that that there is no actual I to be found, and that the ego is a construct. And so that is true. The ego is a construct. The ego is the way that we think others perceive us. But the thing is, it's useful to have the ego, because it provides us of a sense of I, a sense of self that might be that is typically necessary in this is crazy. This is like a solid question. Like, I've been pushed this hard for a while, but like that is typically necessary in the context that we often find ourselves in a day-to-day basis. Like we require the ego, because if you're constantly, I guess, like, dissolving the ego is a very weird concept in general for people who don't understand what that is. But essentially, guys, like in certain sects of Buddhism, specifically like Dzogchen Buddhism, which is the Buddhism that I practice, you eventually find that there is no I, there is no center to experience, and that everything is just appearing as it is. But that's kind of besides the point, and it's very esoteric, and it's something that needs to be experienced through a lot of practice. It's taken me years, but in from the Western side, and Western philosophy is built off of the premise that there is an ego and there is an I, and like Descartes' famous, like, I think therefore I am, cogito ergo sum, and that's necessary because everything else is built off of that, is built off of the construction of the ego. And so based off of that, I would say that because we're now building, especially in Western society, where like everything's about achieving things and wanting things, and becoming a higher version of ourselves. The fact that you're saying the word self already presupposes the existence of an I, of an ego. You
Not
know?
necessarily.
Why do you say that?
Well, like there's like the big self that Buddhism talks
Okay.
about.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually don't know about that. Like, I don't know about Zen Buddhism specifically.
It's in all Buddhism, if I'm not mistaken. Probably more Zen than
Mhm.
anything, but it's like everything I'm experiencing is self, universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is self.
Okay. Okay, fine. So, and what's the little self? Is
The
the
ego.
Okay, right. Okay, so I would say that I would say by so in the context of saying I want to become a higher version of myself, I would say that you're already implying the existence of the little self, because I don't know how you would insert the I don't know how big self would fit into that statement. Is essentially what I'm saying. So you're asserting this, you're asserting the little self, the ego, the I, by saying I want to become a higher version of myself. And so by implying that, that means you're presupposing the existence of the ego. That must mean that since it's present, you must leverage it in some sort of way. And now what we find ourselves in is the predicament that the ego often is, and I spoke about this during the lecture that I gave in the room, but like the ego hates to succumb to truths that are outside of itself. Okay. And the ego can kind of be seen, guys, in what I've explained as like the subconscious filtering, which is trying to always confirm its own beliefs. And so you and so if you view the ego as like almost like like let's say like this thing that is confirming its own beliefs through subconscious filtering, right, through the RAS, as I explained, you want to ensure that your ego's beliefs are ones that are beneficial in the sense of pushing you towards the person that you want to be. So meaning you must leverage the ego is essentially the answer I'm getting to. In the sense of like, if you tell now, if your ego is built off of your foundation of I am successful, your ego believes I am successful, and I guess your ego can almost be seen synonymous to your inner world. And your ego believes like I work hard at things until they're finished, and I'm an efficient worker, et cetera, et cetera. Then again, you will now subconsciously filter things that will confirm that belief, and that process is the process of leveraging the ego. So I would say it's leveraging the ego to in this context. But I would say that if you really want to put me to like my true beliefs, like in Buddhism, I would say like, yeah, you by dissolving the ego, you notice that there is no achieving to be done, that like that you have arrived, and that you can still achieve things, but that like it makes it a lot easier knowing that like, and I made a video about this, but like you are always there's always something to achieve, there's always something more to do, like we always think like
When I get there, I'll be
yeah,
happy.
and like Sam Harris talks about this in his book Waking Up, but like he like there's a really good like anecdote that he talks about, but he's like how like this person in the was sitting under the tree with his like sitting under the tree, and he notices like the it's cold outside, like the breeze is a little bit too much, and so like he notices the breeze is a lot, so he goes to his car and he gets his hoodie, and when he gets his hoodie he goes back to the tree and he notices the hoodie is like dirty, and when he notices the hoodie is dirty and this actually I don't think is like, I'm kind of like creating my own version now, but he notices the hoodie is dirty. He's like, okay, fuck, like I need to actually like go wash this. And so he ends up like just not sitting on the tree. He goes in his car and he goes to wash it. And on his way to wash it, he notices that and he puts it in the washing machine, and he notices that it was like inside out. And because it was inside out, like the outside got dirty, and so he like thinks like, okay, like I'm gonna be happy like whenever I can get this like stuff off. And like essentially like the whole point is like there's always something that's going to make us unhappy, and we never allow ourselves to truly arrive. Like that guy could have just arrived by sitting under the tree and noticing that the breeze kind of felt cool, like it wasn't that cold, and that he could have sat in the breeze, or when he noticed a thing, it's like, oh, it's okay, like, but I'm actually just sitting under the tree, I'm warm, and like I'm experiencing life for as it is. And we're always in this constant state of trying to arrive but never arriving. Another one that I think of is like we think like, yeah, like when I just get the trip to Mexico with all the guys and like we're gonna be on the beach and then like and then and then you end up going to the beach and like you're on the beach and you're like, okay, like here we are.
Yeah,
We're
what
at
are
the
we doing tonight?
beach.
Yeah.
Like, what are we gonna do tonight?
Yeah.
You know? And then like then you go out tonight and like you're at the bar and you're like, okay, like what like man, like tomorrow I'm gonna be hungover. Fuck, I'm gonna be hungover. And then when you're hungover, you're like, okay, like when I'm not hungover,
Yeah.
then like and it's just this crazy process. So like I think like that part of Buddhism is very beautiful and it's very applicable to even Western philosophy. I think the only part of Buddhism that isn't as applicable is the sense that like there really is no grounding to reality. But that's just like yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
Would you say it's correct that you have to dissolve your old ego to create a new reality and almost build up a new ego?
Okay, so that's a good question. Um, I guess it depends on whether you believe that the ego is unchanging in the sense that there's always one ego that is constantly undergoing like architecture, or whether an ego can be killed. And I don't think the ego can be. That's tough. I've never thought about that.
Let's say I meant under the context of changing the scaffolding of the
hmm
ego
hmm
and getting rid of the old scaffolding of
hmm
it.
Yeah. So I guess the way that I envision it is that there is an old ego because like when I think of like when I go to war with myself and like in on that slide of discipline, um, I'm I feel like there are two people like inside of me like that are pause, but there are two different characters fighting within me. Okay, and in that and I genuinely feel like okay, yeah, it's okay. We're yeah. I genuinely feel like they like, and this is probably the hardest thing that I've ever, dude, it's the caffeine, um, that I've ever had to go through, and I still constantly go through every day, is the battle that I have to go through with that old version of myself. And so I would say, yeah, like there are different maybe egos within me, or like like the one that I don't know, like it feels like there are two, but there is, I feel like there's only one, but it feels like I guess like conceptualizing it as two helps the process of growth
Mm.
because whenever I feel like I want to do something and I hear myself being like, dude, just don't, or you're like, you don't need to work right now or whatever, it literally feels like that. It's like there's another person within me saying that, and me being like, you need to suffocate that voice. You need to give it no oxygen and you need to let it die. So yeah, I would say like it does feel like there's, I guess, two. But is there really? I would say no. I would say,
Maybe
I don't know. That's tough. I would have to think about that.
where do the voices come from? Are they like from the outer world, like things that you should
Oh,
believe that are true, like what you've been reinforced through your whole life? Is it
it's from the inner world. I think I think the fact that it's just coming from your subconscious mind already implies it's coming from the inner world. But I would say that again, your inner world can be changed by your outer world. You know, the Pygmalion effect is just a perfect example. Somebody believing something about you can change the way that you believe about yourself, which changes the way that you speak to yourself, and again, like how your beliefs, emotions, and actions. Um, yeah. Does anyone have any questions, or did those answers make any sense? That's lit.
yeah, on that last question?
I'm a bit confused. It's fine.
Yeah, no, that's fair, Oliver. It's not supposed to be. I don't think that like those questions were. I'm a little bit confused.
Can you start from like the very beginning? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I'll just see another lecture. Um, anyone else have any questions? Repeat the podcast. Oh, I thought you said repeat the lecture.
I feel like on the last question, it also depends on what reality you want to create. Like if you want to destroy your competition, if you want to be the next Kobe, like there's definitely ego involved in that. If you want to be more compassionate, loving, present, there's probably less ego involved in that.
I think it's still. I would say that it's still ego, but it's just like a different. Again, like you're the one who decides what the ego is. Like you're the one who decides the aspects of your ego. Because one person might have an ego that is compassionate,
Yeah, yeah, true.
you know, versus another person, their ego might be based off of like the identity, beliefs, emotions, actions of I need to be the best. I am the best. Like
That's-
I destroy my fucking opponents.
I would say the goal of becoming more present, though, that can be ego driven, and that can be like, I'm so present and I'm enlightened.
Yeah.
But
But
it
it's
can
actually-
also, like, if you do become more present, then there's less ego involved.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what Buddhism is by becoming so present that there is no longer any ego. There's no ego to be
Like
found.
separate, and you can like recognize.
Yes, as an object.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it is. Well, no, yeah, actually, no. Sorry, not that there's no ego.
There's no attachment.
There's no I. There's no self.
Yeah.
Ego is a construct.
Check out this book I just got.
The crystal in the way of the light of light. Oh my God, Sutra, Tantra, and Dzogchen. Damn.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
That's your-
Dzogchen.
Yeah.
Dzogchen Buddhism.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm hyped for you. That's sick. Anyone else have any questions? Or we're good. That was
I
awesome.
mean, I've one question, but there's nothing